Piggy March and Halo, they jumped clear. They remain on that dressage score of 21.3 coming into this cross-country phase. Hayden Hankey heads up, bidding to be the first 8-year-old since Willa Newton and Kasia back in 2016 to win this event. They sit in second, 24.3. Those two added nothing to their show jumping. Then we had Avita AP, Sarah Bullimore. They got 0.4 of a penalty. That was a second over that time allowed in the show jumping. But they actually moved up to third because Emily King in Poznat, that were in third, coming into the show jumping phase, they had that one rail down, the 4 penalties, and that dropped them down to 5th place on a score of 29.2. But what meets these 8 and 9-year-old horses now is the cross-country challenge. This David Evans track, it is designed really well. There are a lot of questions out there, and it's going to prove inferential and challenging. And I'm delighted to be joined by none other than Tina Cook to talk us through this cross-country action. Tina, great to see you. What are your thoughts on David Evans' track?
Well, it's very, very exciting. The weather is absolutely perfect, really good, perfect ground for the horses. And this is such a great experience for these horses. We're running now in reverse order. So some of these guys that are lower down after the show jumping and dressage phases, they will be looking to give these young horses some experience of the atmosphere. The crowds are in early, so there's plenty of atmosphere. And it's a decent track. They're going to be presented with really substantial, beautifully built fences that you only really see at a venue like here at Blenheim.
And away goes our first horse out on course in this 8 and 9-year-old class, this 4-star short competition at the Blenheim Palace International Horse Trials. It's Ben Way coming forward on Mrs. Jocelyn Rosenberg's and Fort Simba. They come forward on that two-phase score, 49.8, currently sat in 60th position. And they jump neatly over the first 2 fences, moving away from the Club Cadet picnic tables at 2.
And what a great first person we've got out in Benway, very experienced. And what a lovely horse. I'm already liking it. The way it just looks real quality. He's set off in a really nice rhythm. There's no need for him to go fast and competitive. This is all about getting the experience and mileage into a really lovely horse like this. He's got a very easy way of galloping, floating across the ground, and it just looked effortless for him. And just to see a horse with his ears pricked and looking where he's going, and very, very happy about what he's being asked to do.
So Ben, now coming up to the first question out on course. This is the first of the combinations, the Brookfield Equestrian combination to corner. And he jumps neatly through that. And this course, 3,955 metres, that optimum time, 6 minutes, 56 seconds. In order to achieve that time, you need to be travelling on an average of 570 metres per minute. And for every second over that optimum time, you will incur 0.4 of a penalty. Now, this is where it's different from the 4-star long yesterday to the 4-star short. They don't do that loop up to the Palace.
Yes, it's quite a big loop. I mean, that obviously has to be a different. Ben has decided to go the thicker part of that fence. As you can see, it's very easy birch. So he was not taking any risks of a run out. It's quite a simple fence coming out of the water. David Evans was quite kind there. The horse is galloping across the water. Some horses don't like the water splashing up in their face, but it's quite a large expanse of water, so you just need to encourage them to keep up the pace. For Ben, it doesn't matter. He's just cantering the horse across. He's not worrying about the time. It's purely the horse enjoying his experience.
Because riding through the water, the horses do get that drag, don't they? So you need to sort of keep them in your hand a bit.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And avoiding any swans that might just decide to swim across in front of you, because actually it has happened in the past.
And this is the new water. This is the Jockey Club water combination made up of those 3 elements. Running down the hill, and Ben rode that really nicely.
Because Ben isn't looking at the clock, he was able just to keep a really lovely rhythm into that. So it gave the horse time to look what he was doing. He really locked onto the fences. The corner's quite narrow. It's not a big corner in height, but it's quite it's moulded into the back of with the trees. So unless the horses are really looking, they might get a little bit of surprise, which is where a mistake might happen. But this horse is just cruising round.
Now running towards the Jockey Club Canal Turn, aptly named fence. Obviously, the Jockey Club do such a great job of running so many racecourses. Cheltenham and, of course, Aintree as well, one of them. Samantha Lissington for New Zealand, they are away. Rickeridge Ricochet, they come forward on that two-phase score, 34.4. Just rolled the one pole yesterday. That show jumping yesterday was influential, only that 21% clear rate. For this cross-country clear rate, we have a 78% clear rate for this. But a clear jumping and time, only 7%. All these stats produced by Equa Ratings. So great to have them. As now, Ben coming to what I think is really quite an intense part of the course for these young horses. They're jumping from light into dark, up at the top end, out in the spinning, out of the cottages they go. As Samantha Lissington, Rickeridge Ricochet, settling into the early stages of this course. And as a rider, Christine, you're just looking to try and settle your horse around these early parts of the course?
Yes, you are. And the one thing about riding around a sort of long format sort of course, even though obviously this is short format, we've got plenty of space in between the fences, especially these early on fences. So you can get the horses into the rhythm that you want them to be. Ben has set his horse off quite slowly. Sam has gone a bit quicker. This horse is eager to get on with it. And knowing your horse, you have some that are quite forward going. You don't want to keep nagging them, asking them to slow down if you're not wanting to be competitive. But if you've got a horse that is quite forward going, as you can see, this horse has got quite a strong bit in his mouth, so that to get him to listen, so that Samantha's got the control that she needs when she has to present him to any of the combinations and running down this very steep hill. So she needs to have him so that he's listening to her. And this bit that she's got, there are many different bits out there, obviously suits this horse, that he doesn't stick his head up too high in there. He just went a little bit green. He spooked at something in front of that fence, and so she used her experience and held him in.
And that's good to see. Ben Way now splashing his way back through the water, making the best of the way home. He moved away from the Leap of Faith fence at the top of the hill before running down through the water. Next fence for him will be the Target Fleets Flower Table, and then move on to this big Oxer. As we can just see, our latest starter will be waiting to jump out the start box. That will be Charlotte Rowe. Charlotte coming forward on Rostaf Nero. This horse by Talabar's Legacy, owned by Mrs. Lorraine Dunn, Mrs. Penny Rowe. Charlotte, who's based in Devon, had an absolutely beautiful show jumping around yesterday. Just picked up that 0.4 of a time penalty for a second over that time allowed in the ring. But I know this is a horse she thinks a lot of, and moves on to that Club Cadet picnic table at 2.
There you just see the technique that you're looking at with these horses. It was really sharp in front, was very respectful of that big table, but it did slightly think, oh my goodness, that's bigger than what I've normally jumped. So it gets the horses up in the air, and it's actually easier from a rider's point of view. If you have a few early fences that are quite solid and there, it gets the horses really thinking, and that you can then ride them forward.
And we're just seeing Ben Way making his way towards home. It'll be interesting to see his time. I mean, 6 minutes 56, that optimum time. He doesn't look like he's chased it, so it'll be really interesting to see what he comes in on. Samantha Way at the far end of the course.
Fortunate, he might be a bit winded, but there'll be the emergency, and the vets will be there to look after both horse and rider.
As Ben Way, our trailblazer, and Sports Simba, they cross the line. This lovely 8-year-old gelding, really travelling smoothly round the course, will wait to get his time with interest. As Charlotte Rowe and Rostaf Nero at the Bentley Water, this iconic water here at Blenheim. Whenever you think of Blenheim horse trials, it always brings to mind them galloping across this water. It really is quite unique.
And she did a really good job going into that water. She put a little bit of a curve, so she got a much more comfortable 3 strides as she went into that first water. And it's nice. It's good to get a good experience into the horses going into the water when you've got another one coming up very quickly. So they will go up and jump through the new pond up at the top of the estate.
And time in for Ben Way and for Simba, 7 minutes and 40 seconds. So picks up the 17.6 time penalties there for being 44 seconds over that time allowed. But as Tina was saying earlier, he didn't look to be chasing it. Only an 8-year-old, that horse, so really just using it to get some experience under his belt.
Yeah, Charlotte Rowe still going well. At some point, she will be held while the services are looking after Samantha Lissington and her horse. So the ultimate care for everybody. And there will be a hold, but the riders absolutely do not worry about that. They will wait until everything has been looked after. And it's the care of the horses and the riders which are paramount.
And when you say obviously held, that means what happens is we've got our various stop points out on the course, and the fence judge, they'll be briefed on what happens. And as Charlotte passes that sort of stopping point, a time will be taken and then recorded. And then when we do get back underway, she'll go back to that, well, beyond that starting point, get back up to cross-country speed, canter through that sort of start point then, and the time will be taken when she goes back through it and will be on her way again. But we do just have a short hold on this cross-country course. But I have to say, though, what a beautiful picture that is. Blenheim Palace bathed in this beautiful autumn sunshine. It really is just so good to be here. And what an amazing job the Jockey Club have done this weekend.
There's been a great atmosphere from all the many, many volunteers, fence judges, to people car park and organising. You know, you can be on their feet for a very long time just at a road crossing, and you could be there all day, and with such happiness and joy to be able to help and run an event like this, and that the public have come and really enjoying themselves, plenty of shopping, plenty of food outlets, and the palace. You just can't get bored of that view. It is quite beautiful, and we have equally been very, very lucky with the weather. But so many people and families have come out, and I've also met so many people that are new to the sport. So they've come here and really learning about what we as riders and horses are expected to be doing.
And yeah, just looking at this leaderboard, obviously as it stands at the moment, after the show jumping, I mean, Piggy March, Halo, I know you were in providing some of the show jumping commentary, and Hayden Hankey heads up. They really did produce some beautiful jumping rounds.
Yeah, the standard is so incredibly high, and we look at the top 10 there is full, absolutely full of very world-class riders, very experienced. And to be honest, the cream has come to the top, and clear rounds were very few and far between. Some horses went into the ring with all the trade stands and atmosphere and got a little bit overwhelmed and had more fences down than they would do normally. And then some horses really shone, and the ones that you're seeing in front of you that have jumped clear and are still on their dressage score are the ones that will be heading out onto the cross country. And it is still very, very close. You're only talking about the odd second here and there that will be making the difference, and that top 10 could easily change.
Yeah, I mean, looking at, Piggy March, she does have an 8. I was going to say she's got a 7-second sort of pillow over Hayden Hankey. Obviously, she is 3 marks ahead, but obviously 0.4 of a penalty for every second over that optimum time. So she can only afford to be 7 seconds. So that'd be 2.8 penalties added. Hayden Hankey over Sarah Bullimore. He has an 8-second cushion, should we say. He's 3.5 marks ahead, so he can afford to be 8 seconds, because that would only add 3.2 time penalties to his dressage score. So it is so tight.
But to be honest, when you're going out there and you're riding, when you're talking about a few seconds here and there, if you set off and think, well, I don't have to go as quick as what I would normally have to, absolutely none of it. These guys will be setting off to try and get inside the time, because you can lose a few seconds on an approach or getting away from a fence or going round a bend if a horse has a slight trip or slip, or you might end up having to take a longer route for a multitude of reasons. So they will be, if they're being competitive, you want to be as close to that time. And it is quick. You know, at these short formats, okay, the riders and horses don't have to go as far, but you still have to feel uncomfortably quick to be competitive and getting inside the time.
Because with the difference, the main difference, I suppose, between this this 4-star short competition to the cross-country we saw yesterday, the 4-star long, yes, it is obviously the length of the course, but then that means it's the intensity which you're jumping at, and you don't get that time to sometimes have that long galloping stretch, Tina, to sort of get the horse back into a rhythm.
Yes, absolutely. And to be able to do the quick times on around these sort of courses, the horses need to be very rideable. You know, it's difficult to do quick times on a strong horse that you have to set up or balance in front of the fences 10, 15 strides away. Your quick horses are almost your slightly lazy ones, where all you have to do is stop kicking or just back off them a little bit. 3 or 4 strides away, they jump and then they go. And those are the easier horses to really result and get a good result. And it'll really come to the fore. Piggy March is an absolute class act cross-country at making fast cross-country riding look ridiculously easy. And she is one to watch, to learn, and to see how she does it and how beautifully schooled her horses are. But as we've seen in this top 10, we have got a handful of riders. We've got Tom Jackson, we've got Danny Evans, Liza Stoddart, Sarah Bullimore, world class, and Hayden Hankey. You know, he will be really keen. Very much has been the target for Heads Up to be coming here.
And of course, I'm just looking at Hayden Hankey's horse, Heads Up, part owned by Miss Catherine Witt. And actually, Catherine Witt had the ownership of Fernhill Pims that won this class back in 2013 with William Fox Pitt. And they actually have the record finishing score in this competition of 22.5. So you were just, I'm laughing because they're moving the swans.
Yes, exactly. As we, not that we're taking away from William Fox Pitt's fantastic record here at Blenheim, but the swans are absolutely determined to be crossing that path, because it has happened over the years when they do decide. So we've got swan watchers there to make sure that they don't inadvertently decide to go for a swim across. There you go, fantastic. I saw those guys earlier all dressed up like that, and I was wondering what they were doing. Now we can see.
They are and what an important job they play, because, you know, I don't know what it is. You don't sort of see the swans all morning, and then we get to cross country, and they just say that's where they want to be.
Yes, as you can see, this one, it's becoming a game. It clearly wants to get to the other side where its friend has gone, while the swan buster is walking away. But I think as we've got a hold, maybe he's just going to back off and let him go past.
So if you are just tuning in, myself, Ben King, and Tina Cook, talking you through this first few stages of the 8 and 9-year-old CCI 4-star short cross-country action here at Blenheim Palace, brought to you by the Jockey Club for the second time. We've had one horse go round the course. That's Ansfort, Simba and Ben Way. They went round in a time of 7 minutes and 40 seconds. So they picked up the 17.6 time penalties. It did very much look like Ben was just going for an educational round on that lovely gelding, 8 years old, by Simba. So that's definitely a horse to look out for the future. RCA, Royal Summer and Gillian Bill King, they were due to be first out, but they withdrew before the cross-country got underway. And we've just got this slight hold due to Samantha Lissington and Rickeridge Ricochet. They parted company at the top end of the course, jumping over it was the cottage, Forester's Cottages, I believe, the A.W. Jenkins Forester Cottage at the top end there. That's fence 11. So we've just got this short hold, and the Swans have done well to get back out onto this course. We will be having a 2-minute silence following the sad news of the death of Her Majesty the Queen Elizabeth. That will be held at 12 o'clock today, and it will be followed by the national anthem sung by Laura Wright. So we invite you to join us then for that really poignant moment. Riders are wearing black armbands, and the flags at Blenheim have been flown at half-mast out of respect for Queen Elizabeth II. As we just now see, obviously Blenheim Palace steeped in so much history, over the years, over 300 years of history it has. It's been used as a military hospital in World War One, a school for evacuees in World War Two, so it's had a lot of uses. And of course, it is the birthplace of Sir Winston Churchill, and it's quite apt that we do have our official champagne sponsor here of Pol Roger. It's so great to have them on board, as obviously that was Winston Churchill's favourite drink, and he's not buried far from here, just at Bladen, a stone's throw from Blenheim Palace. Just looking through, and obviously we have Boodles Jewellery, the only remaining family-owned jeweller on London's Bond Street. They were founded in 1798, head office in Liverpool, and it really is a family-run business. They have an amazing stand here with some brilliant displays of jewellery on.
Exactly. So you can come here, watch the horses performing and the trade stands, and there are many sponsors and partners involved in this event. NAF Products are another, who are great supporters of the sport and have so many additives and bits and bobs to help your horses in so many ways, and they're a very helpful team that if you have any problems with your horses that need a little bit of extra vitamin care, so many products, they are the ones to talk to. We have NFU Mutual, so they are there for the insurance, and so many products that are out there that you can get, and that they are there to support the horses and the riders and anyone else involved in estate management.
Oh, I mean, but I was just going to say, the Jockey Club, what an amazing job they've done. You look at the partners there, the Bentley, Pol Roger, Quintessential, NAF. I mean, some of these sponsors we haven't seen in the world of eventing before, and it's just so great to have everyone on board. It really is. But I understand we are going to take a short break while this hold-on course is while everything's been sorted out. That's Samantha Lissington and Ricochet. They're being attended to, so we're going to take a short break, but we'll be right back as soon as cross-country action starts here in the 8 and 9-year-old class at Blenheim Palace International Horse Trials. Well, welcome back. We've just had that slight hold on course. Well, Ridge Ricochet and Samantha Lissington are being attended to. We'll bring you news as and when we have it. But out on course, held at fence 10, that's the Jockey Club Canal Turn, was Charlotte Rowe and Rustaf Nero. We just see her now getting back up to cross-country speed. Her start time will have been taken as she goes past the stopping point and comes to the first fence now for her back after that hold and pops neatly over the Canal Turn hedge. Now that's around about the 3-minute mark for Charlotte. So she'll know, having had that hold, where she was about on the time and what she might need to do if she does need to push on a bit more.
You could just see her checking her watch there, just making sure that it's all started up. And this horse, really nice horse. It just has got straight back into the rhythm. Charlotte got off him while her groom was walking the horse around. She's got back on and he's got straight back into the action again and neatly into the woods.
So there was the Spinney of Cottages, the A element. They've taken the B element out now. Samantha Lissington fell at the AM, we understand, but they've taken the B element out. And now Charlotte moves neatly on to the NFU Mutual, Arrowhead and Skinny. It's a big ditch at that Arrowhead to the Skinny, but it proves no problems for this lovely horse. Only 8 years old and really travelling smoothly round. And it's so difficult when you have been held to get back into a rhythm.
Yeah, this horse, he is by Talibard's Benny's Legacy, and it's a real quality horse. He was careful over that front rail, and then he's able to, Charlotte was able to really ride him forward over the narrow, and you can see how quick he is to go away. He looks like he's got lots of thoroughbred in him, just the quickness and how beautifully schooled he is, because when a horse gallops so naturally like he does, he carries his head quite high, and it's effortless for him covering the ground, and he looks a real long format sort of horse for the future.
Now this fence is it's a rider frightener. They call it the leap of faith, and it really is a leap of faith. There's a massive log before running back down the hill, and you don't want to hit that water too fast, because if you hit water too fast with a horse, it is like hitting a brick wall.
It is. It's not. The water isn't too deep, but you just have to be really respectful of it, because the horse could just have a slightly awkward footfall. And there's not many events in the world where you have such an expanse of water to gallop across. And so, again, they've had a lot of water practice here at Blenheim.
Yeah, if you've got a horse that doesn't like water, don't come to Blenheim.
Or come to Blenheim and they get more experience from it and get better at it. But Charlotte has kept up the momentum. She's on 36.4. She was in 29th place. But the scores are so close together that actually a quick time, it'll be difficult to tell. But this horse looks naturally a quick horse. So she really hasn't wasted much time at all.
That's the Townfield Saddlers picnic table to Skinny, and they move really smoothly on.
He was really super, because she just sat quiet. The distance across there is a little bit on the short side, and she just backed off him and he popped in an extra stride, and that's what's so lovely to see in a horse. He was looking what he was doing, but equally he's so responsive when she moves away. So she's having a proper good crack at this, and you can see the horse stretching out his frame and galloping, and it's very easy for him.
Yeah, she needed to be around the 6 minute mark there, jumping over that horse rail Skinny brush. By my clock, I don't have the official clock, but around about the 6 minutes 20, so it suggests she's about 20 seconds down. But the official clock is the one that gives the scores out, but we're just seeing her now jump through the last of the combinations.
She took her time a little bit there to make sure she got straight. You know, it's important for horses' qualifications as well. If you get a clear cross-country, then it then qualifies them for a longer format later on in the year, which might be part of her plan for this horse. But what a really, really nice horse. I just loved his attitude. He was brave. He was careful. He's athletic. A really exciting horse for the future.
Yeah, we see Charlotte there jump neatly over the Pole Roger Champagne Finale. So, as I mentioned earlier, we will be having a 2-minute silence after the sad news of the death of Her Majesty the Queen Elizabeth II. This will be held at 12 o'clock today, followed by the national anthem sung by Laura Wright and we invite you to join us for that. We are going to take a short break, and we'll be coming back on air just before 12 o'clock, just to sort of introduce that 2-minute silence and then hear that national anthem, and cross-country action will resume as soon as we have that national anthem sung by Laura Wright.
Just work out.
So if you are just tuning in to this live stream here at Blenheim Palace for this 8 and 9-year-old 4-star short cross-country action, we have had a slight hold out on course due to Rickeridge, Ricochet and Samantha Lissington parting company. We will bring you news of them as and when we have it. So it does mean that times have been slightly moved back, should we say. The next horse out on course after our 2-minute silence will be Kate Rosher-Smith and Dasset Select. They were due to come out at 11:12. They'll be going out now at 12:05. So the Rahi Revelation, Jack Pinkney, Cooley, Fireball, Max Warburton, Nikki Hill, Ballyshamble, Missamo, Cooley Snapchat, Selena Milnes, Michael O'Toole, First Obama, Darcy De La Rose, Georgie Campbell, Caroline Harrison, D-Day, Ultimate Quality, Declan Cullen, Rihanna Smith, Irene Lever, and Cooley Exchange, Aaron Miller, Icarus the 10th, Emma Thomas. Obviously, if you are just tuning in to watch those, they will be about, we're going to say they're probably going to be about 40 to 45 minutes behind their scheduled time. But do join us 12:05 when cross-country action will resume.
Queen, she knew how to represent Britain. As a woman, she was self-effacing, asking little for herself on a personal level. Duty was her watchword. And at the end of a long life of duty fulfilled, her achievements were remarkable.
So, following the sad news of the death of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, a 2-minute silence will now be held. This will be followed by the national anthem sung by Laura Wright. We invite you to join us in the mark the passing of a remarkable Queen. Blenheim Palace International Horse Trials, we've just shown our mark of respect for our great Queen, Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, with our 2-minute silence and then the singing of that national anthem by Laura Wright. We just saw there the riders paying their respects in the main arena. And our next horse away out on this course will be Kate Rocher-Smith, Dasset Select. If you are just tuning in, we have had a slight hold out on course due to Ricochet and Samantha Lissington unfortunately parting company out on course. We understand that Samantha is up on her feet and is okay. She has gone to hospital for precautionary tests, and unfortunately it is very sad news that Ricochet unfortunately had to be put to sleep. Our sort of heartfelt condolences go to the owners of Ricochet, but it is great news to hear that Samantha Lissington is up on her feet and has just gone to hospital for precautionary tests. So the action will get back underway shortly as we look at the leaderboard. As it stands, I'm delighted to be sat alongside Tina Cook to talk us through this action in this 8 and 9-year-old 4-star competition. And yeah, it is so tight at the top, Tina.
Yeah, and this is what's so excited about this competition, and you're going to see some really super young horses and some very experienced riders coming up later on in the class. But Kate Rochester-Smith produces, that's her business, so many young horses for younger people to take on, and just gets the experience into the horses in the atmosphere. And you can see this horse gets a little bit excited in the start box. That's why she has her girl groom with her, just to keep the horse calmer, so that you don't jump out early as you're getting the countdown from the starter.
As Great Britain's Kate Rochester-Smith, Dicet Select, set out on their way around this course of 3,955 metres, that optimum time of 6 minutes 56 seconds. Such a great course designed by David Evans. They come forward with that two-phase score 39.1. Just had that one rail and the one-time penalty in the show jumping. And Kate Rochester-Smith sets out in 30th position. A good clear inside the time. I'm sure we'll see her move on up the board. The clear rate here is 78%. But the cross-country clear rate and inside that time is only 7%. All these stats so brilliantly produced by Equa Ratings, and we are so grateful for them. Just looks to be quite keen in the early stages here, Tina.
Yeah, he's a big striding horse, and Kate's having to just say, oh, wait, just listen to me. That's a very wide oxer. You want these horses, this is only an 8-year-old, so he's young at this level of competition. And especially these big horses, they've got to listen. So they've got adrenaline, they're excited, they know they're in competition. But they are equally horses of the future. And so when Kate sits up, the horse has got to listen and come back to her. So there will be a time when she's being very competitive, but unfortunately with having a show jump down, and the show jumping was difficult yesterday. There weren't many clears. It was catching out a lot, and it's very easy just to rub one pole. But it means that today, here, you can see he can be a little bit strong. She's got a strong-ish bit in his mouth and a noseband just to keep the horse's mouth shut so that he's listening to her. So when she sits up, like she's doing now, he comes back, because that's a very steep hill running down to this brush and into the water. So she's got the control so she can ride him forward. And he did. He responded. He's a very easy galloping horse. So he's got plenty of blood and gallop about him, and really looking and focusing on the fence ahead of him.
And interesting enough there, just jumping down into that water over those Bentley brushes. Again, another rider that just chose to take the slightly fatter side of that B element.
Well, when you're as a rider, you walk in the course, and yes, you can see that birch, but you'll have a little feel of it, and you can feel that there's plenty of give there. So that the riders are wanting to make sure that the horses don't look to nip out, and that it's very easy for them to brush through it. And there are some courses that have bullfinches, and so we do teach the horses to jump through the brush sometimes.
Tricky fence. This is the Jockey Club water, the first, well, it's the new water, I suppose, here at Blenheim. And David Evans has really put the three elements there, and it's challenging. As we just see, Emma Thomas, Icarus the 10th, they are away out of the start box, coming forward 45.0. Their dressage rolled the one pole, so two-phase score 49 for them, sat in 56th place coming into this cross-country phase. This 9-year-old by Tagalo van der Suthoff, owned by Rebecca Vardard. Emma, who's supported by the Westco Foundation, and that Westco Foundation is just so good for young riders to be a part of.
It's an absolutely fantastic opportunity, and there is such a wealth of experience in our sport, and for some of the young and up-and-coming riders to have the accessibility to people like Pippa Funnell to give all their advice. And if they want to succeed in this sport, they have to open their ears and listen to the guidance that is given to them. And I'm quite sure it's a hard-fought place to get into that system, and she will be reaping the rewards.
And Kate Rochester-Smith at the furthest point of the course here, and she pops neatly over the A.W. Jenkinson Forester Cottage before jumping from light into dark into the wood. But we're back now with Emma Thomas, Icarus the 10th, coming to the Imba roll top.
This all comes up quite early in the course. As we said earlier, the longer format, they actually have already done a loop before being presented with this very imposing water and the very steep hill coming down. So the horses have to get on the ball really quickly when they're having to listen. And Kate Roger-Smith with this lovely big horse, she saw a beautiful stride there. And as you can see, he lengthens his stride. And then at the moment, she's not going to be able to be going for those quick times because she has to shorten up that really big, powerful stride to aim at this combination, which he did really beautifully. And all that setting up is worth the time because then he makes a very clean jump on all three elements.
As a way out of the start box, here's our latest starter. This is Aaron Miller, Cooley Exchange, owned by Mrs. Lara Reid. Cooley Exchange, a 9-year-old gelding, 31.6 their dressage, a good dressage score. Unfortunately, picked up 0.8 of a time penalty in that show jumping, so it just took them out of the top 10. It's just so tight at the top. They're in 14th position, coming forward into this cross-country phase and jump neatly over the Club Cadet picnic table at 2. So Aaron will just be now looking to get into that rhythm, because good cross-country riding, it's not just how fast can you go, it's finding that rhythm, jumping from fence to fence.
It's really getting up on the clock quite early, and so Aaron, with the good dressage that he has got and is in a very competitive position, he'll be setting off, I'm quite sure, to try and get as close to that time as possible. Kate Roger-Smith is still on her way back. This horse is still really enjoying himself. He's got into the rhythm.
And it's another lovely 8-year-old, but now we're back with Icarus the 10th. Kate Roger-Smith really making a way for home. Big jump over that ox. I was just saying it's another lovely 8-year-old. We've seen Charlotte Rowe come forward on an 8-year-old and jump really smoothly around this course, and Ben Way. And this looks like another horse, a real young horse for the future. But as we're back with Icarus the 10th.
Kate Roger-Smith, and that distance rode really well for the big striding horse. He made that distance easy and he could really lock onto that very narrow fence that was in front of him.
So Emma Thomas now at the far end of the course. She's jumping over the NFU Mutual, Arrowhead to Skinny. It's difficult with these younger horses because it's quite a bright sunny day, so they're jumping from light into dark. You know, it does create shadows, it can put them off. And another one that's moving really smoothly to the Duke's table.
And Emma Thomas doing a really good job on this horse. She decides to ride him without having a martingale, but actually he holds his head high, but he's really looking what he's doing. That's his natural way of going. So you don't want to interfere too much with him. She's got a very soft hand and a very guiding hand. So she's giving him a really, really good ride so far.
As away goes for Ireland, Declan Cullen, Ultimate Quality coming forward now. Declan comes forward on his own, and Becky Cullen's and Martina O'Hare's. Ultimate Quality 37.7 their dressage, rolled the 2 poles in the show jumping, so 45.7 their 2-phase score.
Got Aaron Miller, Cooley Exchange, jumping through the pond on the top part of the course. You've got 2 elements, 2 corners that you can choose to go for, and he went for the right-handed corner.
Kate Roger-Smith looks absolutely delighted, big smile on her face. That's it, select, cross the line, get a time in for them shortly. It looked like she was just there allowing the horse to travel well within itself, so I'm sure they're going to have picked up a bit of time. 7 minutes, 46 seconds, so they pick up the 20 time penalties, giving them a 3-phase score of 59.1.
Aaron Miller really flying that brush and big open ditch, made it look easy.
This now is Declan Cullen and Ultimate Quality. As we're back now with Aaron Miller running around the top end of the course. You can just see behind you, that's the combination that the 4-star long competitors took yesterday. This 4-star short just has the A.W. Jenkinson table there for them to pop over before then getting into what I think a real nitty-gritty intense part of the course, because they jump in and out of the wood a couple of times. First of it there, we see Aaron jumping through into the wood for the first time.
Declan Cullen now coming down to the water. Got a really good shot coming in, but the horse nearly went off his left shoulder. As you could see, he put an extra curve onto that, but he held the horse in, so that was fine. A little bit of a hair-raising moment, but got plenty of time to come across the water to get the horse to look at that relatively straightforward single fence on the way out, and you can really move them up that steep hill away from the water to get them focused to what is coming up.
Icarus the 10th and Emma Thomas, they look full of running as they move on to home, as Cooley Exchange and Aaron Miller through the bird's nest.
No, he just had a run out coming out.
Oh, I just looked down at the wrong time, Tina.
I
Glad
think
you're watching.
Yes, the horse jumped very boldly over the water and just didn't look onto that narrow fence on the way out.
And it is a tricky fence for those young horses to take, but Aaron will be coming back round to represent as Emma Thomas, Icarus the 10th. They fly over the last, and looks like it's going to be probably the quickest round of the day so far that we've seen.
Aaron Miller now coming back to represent to that narrow fence. That was such a shame because he'd been going really, really well up until then, and I think, to be honest, it surprised Aaron as well.
As D-Day, Caroline Harris set out 32.9. Their dressage rolled the one pole in the show jumping. That show jumping was so influential yesterday. 36.9, their two-face score, just keeping them outside the top 10, dropped them down to 27th place. And they are away, this lovely horse by Billy Mexico. Obviously the Billy Stud, Pippa Funnel and William Funnel run really do produce some lovely young horses. Score in for Emma Thomas, Icarus the 10th. It did look fast, and that's our fastest round of the day so far. 7 minutes, 23 seconds, so 10.8 time penalties. Three-face score for them, 59.8.
Aaron Miller now gone across that second water crossing. He's got a 20 penalties now. He knows he's out of the prize money, so it's a case of just giving this horse a nice, easy run over the last few fences.
Yeah, so now it's just about experience, Tina, for him, because as a rider, you just want to give your horse a nice time to come home.
Absolutely, he's only got a few fences left to jump and the ground is absolutely perfect. So you make full use of the opportunity of the horse, you know, getting this behind him and looking for the future.
So this is the intensity I was talking about earlier. The horses jump into the wood and then come back out. They've then got this big table. This is Declan Cullen, Ultimate Quality, running to the Duke's table as we run back with Caroline Day and D-Day to the Imbar Water, roll top before dropping down to the Bentley Water Complex.
You just see the horse there was nice and careful over that fence before running down to the water. Declan Cullen now in the woods. We've come back to, got very close, and it's quite forgiving with that soft brush there for Caroline Harris. And the horse just managed to go through it. It didn't lose its balance. Absolutely fine. Went between the flags.
And that's what's important. This horse, again, only an 8-year-old and looks full of running. As just seeing, jumping out of the start box, the beautiful and dashing grey of Darcy de la Rose and Georgie Campbell. They set out around this course. They had that really good dressage of 29.2. Picked up a jumping 4 jumping penalties and 2.4 time in the show jumping. So that was frustrating. 35.6. Their two-face score, but I know this is a horse that Georgie thinks a lot of as she moves away from the Club Cadet picnic table at 2.
Georgie's got a lot of horses to ride now, and she absolutely loves bringing on the young horses, and a real quality mare. This super Billy Mexico horse, D-Day, Caroline Harris, still going well, really quick round the corners. You've got to let the horses travel. You know, this short format, it's all about speed if you're going to be competitive, and the horse is really looking onto the fences and keeping their rideability when you've gone up that gear.
And here you can really move up the leaderboard if you can go clear and inside or close to that time. As we just see Aaron Miller and Cooley Exchange cross the line. They're picking up that unfortunately 20 penalties at the Bird's Nest combination in the woods there. So that's 20 jumping and 20 time for them, 7 minutes 46.
Declan Cullen and this lovely OBS quality. There's so many, such a popular stallion. There's so many OBS quality horses out there at the very, very top of the sport. So this is another one that we're seeing.
As this 8-year-old D-Day looks full of running, and Caroline Harris really moving across the country. Ears pricked, lovely picture, really covering the ground as they jump over the Spinney Cottage before making this turn back to the NFU Mutual.
And it's for the horses to get used to going light into dark. On the sunnier days, you're going into the trees, and they have to really focus about what you're asking them to do. Georgie Campbell coming across the water. This mare really looking what she's doing and moving away. She will not be wasting time.
Yeah, I saw Georgie walking the course last night with Katie Preston, fellow competitor, and husband Jesse, New Zealand international, who's also riding here this weekend on Cooley Lafferty in the 4-star long. But Caroline Harris at the bird's nest combination at the top of the course there on D-Day. But Declan Cullen, ultimate quality. Doesn't look like to have chased the clock, just given the horse a nice round, get some experience under their belt. They came into this in 50th place. They crossed the line 7 minutes and 36 seconds, so that's 16 time, giving them a three-phase score, 61.7.
That was really nice. Caroline Harris just kept coming, and the horse was careful enough just to look what it was doing. It was aware that it was a drop on landing and was very, very careful over that big log.
Michael O'Toole, First Obama for Ireland. They are away and set off in earnest around this David Evans designed track here at the Blenheim Palace International Horse Trials, coming forward on a score of 42.9.
Again, that second fence is very wide, so it's a real eye-opener for some of these horses and gives them a taste of what is to come further on round the course.
Because they have the sort of four sort of fences to get them into the sort of rhythm, and then they have the first of the combinations that's made up of the two elements at 5 for them. But Darcy De La Rose, Georgie Campbell, he is pricked. Really looking really smooth around this course, and as you say, Georgie is such a lovely rider.
She's got a really good team of horses coming through, and owners, Wendy and Johnny Watherston, supporting this mare today.
So Caroline Harris D-Day, they want to be about the 6-minute mark at the next fence. That is the Horsewell Skinny Brush. By my reckoning, they're going to be slightly down on the clock, about 20 seconds or so. But Georgie Campbell, another one that doesn't look to be hanging around, got into a really good rhythm and moves quickly away from the NFU Mutual combination coming out of the woods there, before moving on to this big Duke's table.
When you're looking for young horses of the future, if you're a competitive rider, they've got to be able to gallop and gallop easily, as you can see with this horse. Galloping is effortless, and I know the ground is absolutely perfect for them, but they do have to be all-round athletes, and there's some really lovely young horses in this class.
As Michael O'Toole, First Obama, cross the first of the waters here. You've got sort of 3 chances to get your hoofs wet on this course, and Michael O'Toole now climbs up that steep hill towards the second of them, and we've got them in unison. Away goes our latest starter, Selena Milnes, coming forward on Cooley Snapchat. They are away, and at the other end of the course was Caroline Harris and D-Day. They were just completing their round. It looked a quick round. I mentioned they were slightly down on the clock, but we'll see how far they were down when we wait for their confirmed time. But Selena Milnes, Cooley Snapchat, she's such a great producer of young horses. Had a lot of lovely horses that she sold all over the world. Got that lovely 5-star horse, Iron the Fifth, that she campaigns. And she comes forward on 28.4. Had the rail and 2-time penalties in the show jumping. 33.2 their 2-phase score. So they're inside the top 20. And a good round here would see them move up the leaderboard.
Georgie Campbell coming to this wide oxer, got quite close, but you can just see how quick this horse is on her feet and didn't waste any time at all.
Caroline Harris and D-Day, time in for them, 7 minutes, 7 seconds, so 4.4 time penalties for them, so they were 11 seconds over that optimum time. So that is the fastest round of the day, and they set the benchmark now. Sort of our 3-phase leader, 41.3, Caroline Harris and D-Day. But it's early stages of this competition.
Georgie still getting towards the end of the course now, really pressing on. As is Michael O'Toole, First Obama. Oh, got a little bit close to that fence, but the horse was very quick thinking.
But that's what you want in a good cross-country horse, isn't it? Sometimes just to be a little bit quick thinking and can quickly pop in that short stride.
And there, he was a little bit suspicious jumping into the woods, but he got behind him and really pushed him in. As we see Selena Milne, Cooley Snapchat. Selena's got several horses now for Mr. and Mrs. William Rucker. They're real racing people that have come over into eventing and really enjoying the sport. And Selena has been competitive, and this is a serious horse for the future.
Another 8-year-old by Show Jumper Canaan. I know she does think a lot of it, but we're back with Michael O'Toole and First Obama at the middle stages of this course, and they see a lovely stride at the Duke's table. And this combination, it caused a few problems yesterday. We had one sort of problematic today.
Georgie Campbell just come round to the finish. She's just kept that mare pushing all the way round, kept up the time. I think she might be a little bit over the time, but she was competitive and a great experience for her.
I'm sure owners Wendy and Johnny Watherston will be absolutely delighted with that. Darcy De La Rose definitely looks a good horse for the future. As Michael O'Toole, first Obama, coming to the real rider frightener. It's called the Leap of Faith before they run on down for the final water crossing. As Max Warburton for Great Britain, coolly fireable. Now this is a horse and rider that are very talented. Max, 22 years old, partner Susie Berry, out at those World Championships in Petone, representing Ireland. Had a good round that cross country yesterday for her. And Max is here at Blenheim, bringing this really talented young horse, owned by Mr. Robin and Nikki Salmon. Nikki, who is an FEI delegate here at this competition, as Max sets out around the early stages of it.
Selena Milne, Cooley Snapchat, still going really well. He's got such a massive stride and really covers the ground in between the fences. She just has to hold him, just the twisty part, but all in the rideability of the horses. And see, that was effortless for him to get those 3 strides. She gave him a squeeze and he performed very quickly. And Selena just gave him a little pat. It's good to reward these horses, you know, when you feel that they have been brave, given you a little bit extra, that actually you give them a little pat and they understand that it's not pressure, and it's got to be fun. If they're going to go on and be superstars, they've got to enjoy every single phase. And absolutely, cross country, they won't be doing this if they don't want to. So it's all got to be an enjoyment for everyone watching. And as you can see, Selena is competitive. She's really making him gallop.
And the scoring for Georgie Campbell, Darcy De La Rose. They had a time 7 minutes 34. That optimum time 6 minutes 56. So they pick up the 15.2 time penalties. 3-phase score for them 50.8 as Max Warburton, coolly fireable, run to the Bentley Water Complex.
He was very lucky there. He was very quick thinking. The horse was sharp on its feet, but the fact that that birch is quite soft, he was able to jump through it and not be affected at all by it. So that helped him.
It's coming to the end of the course. A delighted big pats down the neck. Michael O'Toole looks absolutely over the moon with his completion round this course. He kept travelling. It didn't look like the fastest of rounds, but if my sort of unofficial clock is there or thereabouts, it looks like he's actually gone pretty quickly. But Tina, I understand you've got to make a move. Thank you very much for all of your contribution. It's been much appreciated, and I know the viewers have really enjoyed everything that you've had to say over the last 4 days in this 8 and 9-year-old class.
Oh, no, lovely. Thank you. No, it's been good to be here. I'll hand you over to Mr. David Dole.
Max Warburton and Cooley Fireball are running into problems at the Jockey Club Water. The third element of that fence that's coming out of the water. It's a skinny arrowhead. Obviously, Cooley Fireball didn't quite read it, but Jack puts that behind him. Well, Max, I should say, puts that behind him and moves on now to the Jockey Club Canal turn. But joined now, sat alongside me, delighted to introduce David Dole, international 5-star event rider. How are you, David?
Hi, Ben. How are you doing? Yeah, no, I'm good, thank you. It's a bit daunting taking over from somebody like Tina.
Not at all, not at all. So
she's definitely a little bit more experienced than me. But no, it's lovely to be here. It's great to, although we're not actually competing this week at Blenheim, it's lovely to come and actually just be able to have a bit of time to come and sit and watch these lovely young horses going around the course today.
And talking of lovely young horses, just seeing Jack Pinkney and Rahi Revelation, this horse only an 8-year-old by Ars Vendy. They are away and through that Bentley Water Complex. And now Max Warburton.
Yeah, that was a real shame about Max. He looked like he was having a good ride up until that unfortunate stop a couple of fences ago. But he looks like he's back in motion again.
But it's difficult as a rider sometimes to sort of put that behind you and move on. And I'm guessing now he's using it as a sort of a round just to get some experience under his belt.
Yeah, he doesn't look like he's backed off at all. The horse is still travelling really well, and it's always difficult to sort of get your blood back going again once you've had a bit of a mistake. But these young horses, it's a fantastic experience to come somewhere like here with the crowds, and it's a beautifully designed course. So no, it's nice to see that he's cracked on and kept going, and there's some decent fences, so he's still working hard.
And Michael O'Toole, First Obama, they didn't look like they were going that quick, but they were moving quicker around that cross country than we thought. 7 minutes, 17 seconds, so 8.4 time penalties, 51.3 for them. But quickest round of the day goes to Selena Milnes, Cooley Snapchat so far, 7 minutes 10, 5.6 time penalties, 38.8. That now is the standard to beat. They go to the top of the three-phase leaderboard at this stage of the competition.
Yeah, so Horse for Selena's is a super horse, and I think she'd be probably a bit gutted about it having the pole down yesterday, because I think it's hardly had a pole down all year, so it's an unfortunate time to have one down.
And it's got that Cooley prefix, obviously. I mean, it's brought and produced by Richard Sheen. Do you have many Cooley horses?
We've had one or two. Yeah, sort of like we find horses from here, there, and everywhere, and I'm very sort of lucky. We get a lot sent to us. So I haven't actually got too many of them at the moment, but hopefully, we'll find some more in the future.
It's so difficult finding horses, I know, but Jack Pinkney moving quickly through the NFU Mutual Arrowhead to Skinny. Now this man, a very experienced rider. I know he's very good friends with Max, who's just further ahead round this course. I saw them yesterday walking the show jumping together. That's Max getting to the latter stages of the course over that big oxer.
Yeah, Jack's horse is travelling well. It's looking a little bit on the strong side at the moment.
And this is an interesting fence, David.
Especially if they're motoring a bit like Jack's is. He's just come to the coffin, jumped really well through that. Jack actually managed to wrestle him back a little bit for the coffin. Sort of like there's quite a big oxer before it. And, so you open the horse up, and then you've got to get the horse back under control for that coffin. It's a narrow rail in. You've got a little bit of a drop for the ditch, and then it's quite a skinny triple brush on the way out as well. So it requires a lot of sort of control and concentration from the horses. And then actually, as Jack comes to the leap
of faith.
Yeah. So sort of like David Evans' course here, he's opening the horses up, and then he's getting you to sort of come back and control them, and then he's getting you to open them back up again, and also to show that they're still galloping and still staying nice and bold.
And coming forward now, Emma Hislop-Webb comes forward on Bollyborn Aristocrat. They come forward with a two-phase score of 58.0. Didn't have a great time of it in the show jumping. Picked up 16 jumping and 1.6 time. But this horse, by Dignified, Emma, such an experienced rider, ridden around numerous 5 stars.
Yeah, and they're in her very distinctive pink colours as well.
She does wear those very distinctive. You can pick her out from the crowd. Jack Pinkney and Rahi Revelation now making their best of their way home around this David Evans designed track. This is the second last combination out on track.
Yeah, the horse just looks like it's just sort of settled down for him, and so looking a little bit more rideable now.
And pats down the neck for Max Warburton and Cooley Fireball as they complete their round. They did pick up those 20 penalties, jumping penalties, time 7 minutes and 50 seconds, so 21.6 time penalties as well. But definitely a horse that I think we'll be hearing a lot more of in the future, and a rider.
Yeah, Max's horse looks like a lovely horse, and definitely one to keep an eye out on.
Jack Pinkney, Rahi Revelation kicking on for home around the latter stages of this course. We've just got Jack out on course and Emma Hislop-Webb at the moment. And it's a course so far that's been actually riding really well, Dave. We've seen a few sort of 20s, but not causing too many issues at the moment.
No, it doesn't seem to be too unfair on the horses at all, and sort of like it's enough of an experience for them with the crowds.
Sorry, Eddie, I mean Emma Hislop-Webb. She really took the brush at the B element of the Bentley Water there.
Yeah, as Tina was chatting about earlier, the brush is quite forgiving actually. So if you've had one that's having a bit of a wobble, then it's quite good to be able to point them at a bit of a softer bit of brush, and to actually know that you're going to be able to jump it.
Jack Pinkney Rahi Revelation, they crossed the line. That lovely 8-year-old by Ars Vendi. He looked like he was going really smoothly round the course.
He was definitely travelling all the way round.
And the time there, 7 minutes 10. So 5.6 time penalties to add. Three-phase score 53.4. I'm sure Margaret and Simon Hope will be absolutely delighted with that, owners of that horse. Emma Hislop-Webb.
Yeah, she
What
just
happened
looks like she's lacking a little bit of control. The horse she looked like she was a little bit too bold into the water, and unfortunately the horse didn't quite sort of see the right hand side of the corner there. I think just a little bit more control needed. I'm not sure how much of a say Emma had. Now she's coming back to it, and well ridden, kept the horse really nice and straight. Because it's a decent question to have a big corner like that in the water for these young horses, and it's a bit of a blind turn back to it. So if the horses haven't quite locked onto the fence, then it's very easy to run by them.
As Emma Hislop-Webb runs away from that Jockey Club water complex, the new water fence here at Blenheim. It's such a great job David Evans, course designer, has done, and builder and his team. They really do build and design such a good course. I know Captain Mark Phillips has also cast his eye over it with David, just to sort of talk about things they could do, just working in as a team to make sure that the ground and the course is as good as possible for these 8 and 9-year-old horses, because this competition, it is a real pinnacle of eventing. I mean, we've seen so many good horses come out of it. London 52, who obviously won Babblington this year, part of that gold medal winning team out in it. Tokyo, as Emma Hislop-Webb.
Yeah, and David Evans definitely has a very sort of distinctive build style, and he's really starting to put his stamp on Blenheim now. And it's lovely to see that places like Blenheim are investing in their cross-country courses, and sort of even allowing him to build a new water complex. And the water complexes don't come cheap, so it's great to see that they're really sort of supporting the event here.
And there's some great prize money on offer as well for both the 4-star long and 4-star short competition, as we join Emma Hislop-Webb running down to the Duke's table. Got in a little short of that, but some really quick footwork there from Bollyborn Aristocrat.
Yeah, he's still looking a bit strong for her there, so she looks like she's having to do a bit of wrestling.
Coming forward now is a lady that really needs no introduction, from Ireland, Camilla Spears, a BT Angelo. Camilla, such an experienced rider, ridden on many teams for Ireland. Went to those London Olympics back in 2012 on her diminutive little horse, Portishead's Just a Jiff. And I'm sure she'll be hoping that BT Angelo will be just as good as, if not better, than her flagship horse, Portishead's Just a Jiff. They come forward with a two-phase score, 36.3. Just rolled the one pole in the show jumping yesterday. Sat in 23rd place at the moment.
Yeah, and it's great to see, Ben, sort of quite a few of the Irish coming over the water to come to Blenheim, and it just shows how important a competition it is, this 8 and 9-year-old class, for these young horses, and how much sort of not just the Irish but more of the Europeans as well come over and to run the young horses here and give them a little bit of a test. And for some of these young horses, it's going to be the first time they're really going to see crowds, and so it's very important to give them that bit of exposure.
No, it is great. I mean, we've got some Dirk Schader coming over from Germany. We've got the Irish riders here as well, and we've got some French riders. So no, it really is an international field. As I'm Camilla Spears and BT Angelo, this lovely 9-year-old by Indoctro, owned by Orla O'Neill and Bridget Spears, settle in to the early stages of this course and go to the Indy Bar roll top at the top of the hill. And it'll be interesting to see what she does at this water here now, this Bentley water complex. Will she take the fat part of the fence?
Lovely and straight all the way through there. I mean, he's actually having more of a spook at the water itself, but he's got his ears pricked. He's looking where he's going. Camilla's been giving him a great ride so far, and he's popped through there's 2 fences through the water and then the fence out really nicely. He's a horse that looks like he's got a really good stride length on him and quite an easy gallop. And then we've got Emma Hislop-Webb here in her bright pink colours, looking like she's had her arms pulled out a little bit all the way round. and having a bit of a wrestle to gain back a bit of control for these final few fences.
Yeah, we're just bringing Ballybourne Aristocrat back for our final combination. That is the Boodles offset houses. Great to have Boodles on board. Such beautiful jewellery they do make. They're the only remaining family-owned jeweller on London's Bond Street. As we see, jumping really neatly through that water goes Camilla Spears and BT Angelo. This horse really looks to have gone into a good rhythm around the middle stages of the course.
She did a great job there, and the horse looks like it's giving, or she's giving it a really good ride, and it looks like he's really listening to her.
And a disappointing look from Emma Hislop-Webb and Ballybourne Aristocrat. As they cross the line, they did pick up those 20 penalties out on course. As away goes a lady who's represented Team GB at European Championships, winning that individual medal last year on Corraway, who she has in the long format competition. Currently sat in 3rd place today. She comes forward now on Irish Trump. Irish Trump, owned by husband Brett Bullimore and Christopher and Susan Gillespie. By Futurist Trump, 9 years old. That good dressage of 29.9. Unfortunately rolled the one pole and picked up 0.8 of a time penalty in those show jumping. So come forward with a two-face score of 34.7.
Yeah, and Sarah looks like she's having a good weekend. I think she's pretty high up there in the long 4-star as well. So it just sort of shows a nice depth of talent that she's got of horses to have something in the long format as well as the short format.
As we see her flying over, this is Esme. Parallel bar there. This Esme, I know she has a big social media following. She's got a signing today at in the big roll top marquee at 2:30. So if you are here listening to this stream, this is Esme. We'll have a signing at 2:30 in that big top marquee. I mean, the Jockey Club have done such a great job of getting this event on. It's a real family atmosphere here.
Yeah, it's great. Sort of, I went and had a bit of a walk around earlier, and there's a lot of really nice shops here, and there's a real buzz to it. And
a lot of entertainment as well. Shetland Grand National, it all goes on. It's all going on.
Masses going on. So it's not just all about the eventing.
Irish Trump, Sarah Bullimore.
It looked like it, and maybe added an extra stride there. I think Sarah's actually just gone out of order because I think she's got a horse to jump later on in the long format. Just giving the horse a little bit of a reminder there. I think he was a little bit sticky into the water. So Sarah, just sort of telling him to get on with life a little bit, and he's responded nicely by jumping out of the water well.
Sarah sat in 3rd place in that 4-star long format on her European bronze medalist Corraway. As next away goes Eliza Stoddard, Idonna W. Eliza, such a great producer of young horses. She comes forward on the first of her 2 rides.
Yeah, Eliza, you see her a lot at the a lot at the lower levels, and she does a lot at the Birmingham event horse classes, and she's got a very good string of young horses, and it's nice to see her with 1 or 2 sort of higher up the levels as well.
Camilla Spears, BT Angelo making the best of the way home as they round the right-hand bend, coming towards the Townsfield Saddlers picnic table combination. It's a big old table into an accuracy question.
Yeah, and he's jumped through there really nicely, really easily. Just starting to look a little bit tired. His ears have sort of flopped to the side a little bit, and he's starting to look a little bit on his head, but no, still galloping well. And Sarah's had a really good jump over the big ditch and brush over the far side of the course.
That being the Aintree Canal Turn,
okay.
Aptly named, with the Jockey Club doing such a superb job of running this event. And if you are just joining us, myself, Ben King, sat alongside with David Dole, bringing you all the cross-country action here from this 4-star short 8 to 9-year-old competition. It is the conclusion of this class today, obviously being that short format. It does mean that we will have an 8 to 9-year-old champion crowned today. Sarah Bullimore, Irish Trump, they're not hanging around. Neatly through the NFU Mutual combination at the top of the hill there for them.
I think looking on to, poor old Eliza here, I think the horse just leaves a leg, and, clung on. Yeah, it's always a bit of a heart wrench or gut wrenching moment when you're looking at the floor and you think you're going to end up hitting the grass, but no, Eliza hung on well, and the horses has jumped out of that water sort of well enough, still looking a little bit green actually.
And that is why riders need to be so fit and have a good core strength, because to sit that position, she hardly moved.
Oh, no, absolutely. And, Eliza's a decent jockey there and rides a lot of horses. But, I mean, sort of that's going down the hill as well. And it really going to put you out to the plate slightly. And so, no, it was impressive that she managed to cling on. But unfortunately, picking up I think the 20 penalties there. But, sort of it's better.
Irish Trump running down the hill, sorry. And then we've got Camilla Spears, BT Angelo. They complete their round. Good time for them, 7 minutes 15 seconds. So 7.6 time penalties. Three-phase score, 43.9. So that would put them into second place behind Selena Milnes on 38.8 on Cooley Snapchat at this stage of the competition of our three-phase elite leaders. We will be running the top 12 in this class in reverse order, so it's going to be an exciting conclusion of this event as Sarah Bullimore and Irish Trump jump neatly.
Yeah, and Irish Trump's looked very impressive all the way round. Sarah's given Irish Trump a great ride, and it looks like he's still galloping really nicely. And as Tina sort of said earlier, these fences here they're really big, and for these young horses, and it could be for some of them the first real test of their scope and their ability.
And this is an interesting one to watch actually on that good dressage, or two-phase score I should say, of 34.7, and it does look like Sarah's gone out with sort of the bit between her teeth. She will come forward later on. Vita AP, who's currently sat in third place, as Eliza Stoddard and Idonna W. They put that 20 penalties behind them at the Bentley Water and moved swiftly on around this course.
Yeah, and Eliza's horse looks like it doesn't have the longest of necks either, so I think even more impressive to manage to hold on like she did earlier, but it looks like she's put that behind her now, and he's really started to... a little bit of a short stride there, but really taken the bit and, sort of not actually been phased by that mistake from earlier.
Amanda Stam and Crobet AT for Sweden come to that Bentley Water on that good two-phase score, 32.9. They added nothing in the show jumping phase. They produced a lovely clear yesterday. This horse by Corporal VDL.
Yeah, another one of these competitors that have come across the water to test their horses out here at Blenheim, and it's nice to see a really sort of enthusiastic horse coming down to the water there, sort of galloping down the hill.
Harriet Wright and Nigon Valley, they jump out of the start box to start their round, 38.5. Picked up the 2 penalties in the show jumping yesterday, so that was time penalties there. That meant they were 5 seconds over the time allowed. They jumped a beautiful clear, but they were just a little slow on that time allowed. And they start on a two-phase score of 40.5, currently sat in 27th position. Big jump. But we've got some exciting news in, David. Irish Trump, Sarah Bullimore, they didn't look like they were hanging around, and they were not. 7 minutes their time, optimum time 6 minutes and 56 seconds. So 4 seconds over, meaning they pick up the 1.6 time penalties. They go forward. They have a three-phase score, 36.3. So they are our new leader after in the clubhouse, should we say. And we hear Idonna W. and Eliza Stoddard. They've decided to retire at fence 15. That's the Blenheim's bird nest combination. That's the rail, ditch rail, out on course. So they'll be walking home. Yeah,
and I think after we saw Idonna W have a problem early on in the water, and it looks like she just had another one jumping out of the coffin there, and very sensibly deciding to walk home, and hopefully saving the horse for another day, and probably just having to go home and do a little bit of confidence building again.
And that's the thing. There's always another day with these young horses. You just sort of build up. You sort of got to sort of, save them for another day. Get her home, get some more, get a bit of training and the experience, and save them for another day. You don't want to give them a bad experience.
No, absolutely, and it's so easy to get a little bit carried away. But sometimes it's better to wish that you'd better to wish that you continued, but you didn't. And hopefully having a fit, sound, and happy horse to take home and one that's, rather than one that's had, too much of a bad experience.
And Sweden's Amanda Stam, Corbett AT, moving on really smoothly around this course. Just looking like it's still full of running, quite strong running to the Duke's table.
Yeah, she's definitely moving on. Hopefully she's going to come back and get the horse. There we go. Look, get the horse back under control.
And this sort of event, you need to take away the speed. It's almost like revs, isn't it? Get the rev counter up.
Absolutely. You almost sound like you know what you're talking about, Ben.
Well, that's why you're here, David.
No, she jumped through that really well. She looks like she's only got a snaffle in its mouth. So it's obviously sort of a fairly polite horse, and it's lovely to see. Obviously, sort of quite well trained. If you can gallop around one of these courses like this, and I mean it's taking the bit and it's really galloping and really listening to her. So she's obviously doing a great job with it.
The good thing is, David, I don't ever repeat what I hear you top riders say. The art of black. As away goes Gillian Bill King for the United States of America on Darina Superstar. This combination produced a lovely test, 27.6, but not a great time in the show jumping, rolling the 4 poles and the 1 time penalty. So they come forward on 44. They really dropped down that leaderboard. That die body track was so influential with only that 21% clear rate as Amanda Stam and Corbett AT kick on up the hill away from the last of the water complexes.
And still galloping well up the hill there, and definitely Team Sweden, sort of like got all the Swedish flag all over them there, especially on its ear bonnet and all on its number. As they come to this, at a decent size parallel there, it pops it really nicely after having the bit of a canter up the hill.
It's Harriet Wright, Neargon Valley. Harriet, one of the youngest riders in this class, only 23 years old.
Yeah, and she looks like she's been giving it a great ride so far, and some of these bigger fences, it looks like it's really been getting up in the air, and she comes to quite a big ditch and brush there, but jumps through the combination really well, picked up that skinny afterwards, and
she was quite clever there. She sort of got a big jump over the first element, and then just sort of sat and let the B element come to her.
Yeah, no, she didn't panic. She knew what she was doing, and obviously had her plan and rode it super.
And this beautiful grey Darina Superstar and Gillian Bill King run on down the hill to this Bentley Water Complex.
Yeah, it's a lovely grey, impressive grey horse, and sort of ears pricked, and obviously having quite a nice time. I think as its overreached boots fallen off in the water there behind it.
Owned by Richard Ames. Richard Ames, a big supporter of eventing, based over in Ireland now, over in Kilkenny, where Gillian is stable jockey, but Gillian comes from a family steeped in equestrian history. Her grandfather won Burghley back in 1965. And I know her mother was a good show jumper and event rider out in America. And her father show jumped up to the Grand Prix level, as we're back with Harriet Wright and Neargon Valley. Yeah,
he's definitely giving all the fences some air, and especially some of these with, there's quite a few ditches here at Blenheim, and he's really got up in the air and nice and careful over that leap.
An exciting horse, only 8 years old, by future trend as Amanda Stam and Corbett AT. They crossed the line. It looked like they were just having a nice confidence round. They were on that good dressage score of 32.9, but Amanda didn't look like she was chasing the clock. She just settled into that rhythm, and that's where a good rider they judge where their horse is in their sort of career, whether they're going to chase them around this sort of 4-star track or not.
Yeah, no, I think she did a fantastic job there, and we don't know sort of what the horse is like normally, but I think she gave it a lovely ride, and I think can go home feeling very pleased with her horse.
As Gillian Bill King.
she definitely was worried about the ditch there, I think, and gave
Darina Superstar.
Yeah, a bit of a reminder that had to jump that Aintree fence, and but no, jumped that well. Izzy Taylor's just starting off there on Caroline's Air KM.
Yeah, Izzy Taylor, such an experienced rider. A rider to wear the eyewear, just sort of make sure when the wind's in your face, you get any streaming eyes, or when it's sunny and the flies are out and things. We're seeing a lot more riders wearing eyewear across country now.
Yeah, and I think sort of like, especially the sun's literally just sort of disappeared, so it has sort of clouded over a little bit, but on a sunny day, it's a little bit like wearing sunglasses. I think from your racing background, they're fairly sort of common in the racing world, and quite a few riders now are starting to wear them, and you do, on a slightly sort of windy day like it is now today, then your eyes do start to sort of water and stream a little bit, and so you want to be able to to be on top form, and so it's a sensible decision.
Gillian Beale King there, sort of lovely stride at the Duke's table. Now she gets to the nitty-gritty part.
Yeah, it's obviously a bit sticky over its ditches. But she knows the horse obviously really well, and is giving it the confidence to jump the ditches, and she's still got her glee around, and the horse is still galloping well.
As Izzy Taylor comes towards the empty bar roll top before dropping down the hill to the Bentley Water.
Yeah, just having a bit of a look there.
This horse owned by Trevor Dickens, obviously Trevor who owned Via Chimera that won Burley a couple of weeks ago, Bablington back in 2019 as Izzy Taylor now moves across the Bentley Water Complex. Such an experienced rider, ridden on teams for Great Britain at European level back in 2013 at Malmo, Blair Cast in 2015 and in Avanche in last year, finished in the top 10 at Blair and Avanche as an individual. Harriet Wright and Neargone Valley, they've completed their around 7 minutes 47 seconds, so 20.4 time penalties.
But I think again she should be really pleased with that. The horse looked like a little bit green every so often, but sort of really jumped quite impressively around. So I just think Harriet would be really pleased with that ride.
Sean Davis Cook is next away in 10 W. They've just started as we're back with Izzy Taylor and Caroline's Air KM at the Second of the Waters, that Jockey Club water complex made up of the three elements. Packed down the neck there.
Yeah, the horse is looking a little bit green. Izzy's a very experienced rider, and I think giving it a good ride there. And I don't think it's probably the easiest. And Izzy's making it look very easy. You can just see the horse just backing off a little bit and having a little bit of a look at some of these fences. And so I think Izzy's having to actually do a bit of riding. And although it looks very easy on top, it's a little bit like a duck. And I think underneath the water she'll be paddling and working well.
I mean, you mentioned very experienced. She's had 213 starts in the last 10 years at 4-star short level.
Wow.
I mean, when you look at some of the other riders, I mean, she is streets ahead in terms of number of starts.
Yeah, I mean, between sort of probably her and Ollie Townend, I mean, they're probably the two busiest riders on the British eventing circuit, and she gets some fantastic results, with that.
Sean Davis, Cook, and in 10 W at the Bentley Water Complex. Sean just having to encourage E10 W is pricked.
Yeah, and this is the first time that the horses go through the water, and you're just seeing a few of them just being a little bit spooky, especially jumping that second element of the combination there, and a few horses are just having a little bit of a jink left and right as they go into the water. But actually, I think this is a much nicer way getting into the water than we have done in previous years, and sometimes there's been a big triple brush on the edge of the water that's caused sort of probably a few too many problems. And I think for these younger horses, there's enough going on, and it's nice to see that they're being able to keep their confidence up as they're jumping into the water.
Flora Harris comes forward on the first of her two rides in this class on Class Vista. This 8-year-old gelding by Ostrus of VDL, owned by Flora herself, 31.9. The two-face score.
Yeah, and I think Flora's was she 12th at the moment, so she
was 13th coming into this show, after the show jumping, but because we've had a few come, it's just been updating. She could go into 12th if she was to go clear inside the time at this point of the competition. But no, definitely a really nice young horse that produced a really good test, 31.5 in the dressage arena, and then just picked up 0.4 of a time penalty in the show jumping as Izzy Taylor jumps over the leap of faith and runs down the hill through the water for the third time. And I was saying to Tina earlier, David, you don't want to hit that water too fast, do you? Because it is just like hitting a wall.
Yeah, and the horses, especially going down the hill there, sort of, both approaches to the main lake or main river. I think that it is here. It's quite imposing for the horses, and you do just have to give them a little bit of time just to see it and to sort of get their balance as they get into the water, because you don't want to be galloping flat out down to it, and then sort of like Ben says, sort of to hit that water a little bit like a concrete wall, and suddenly you don't want to find yourself tipping over as you get into the water.
And Izzy Taylor then moves quickly over the target for leads flower table at the bottom of the hill, and then runs up the hill and jumps neatly over the oxer.
Yeah, a little bit of a reminder there on the corner, just to say, come on, sort of concentrate, because there's a combination coming up.
Flora Harris, Class Vista now, neatly through the Bentley Water, and Flora.
Lovely, really lovely jump there, and the horses are now having to gallop up the slope. Flora's there, sort of moving on, looking like she's being fairly competitive at the moment.
Sean Davis, Cook and E10 W neatly through the bird's nest.
Yeah, just took the white flag out there on the way out, so hopefully jumped to the right, or the left-hand side of that. But jumped that really nicely, really flowing.
But if you take the flag, you don't get the penalties.
No, you shouldn't do. As long as the majority of the horse is through between the flags, then there shouldn't be a problem at all.
And then runs over that a leap of faith.
Yeah. And it's a big fence, and if you're standing on the other side of it, I'm sort of fairly tall. I'm 6 foot, and I can't see over the top of that. So it's a big drop after that. So it really is for these horses a real leap of faith, and they put so much trust in us as riders, and they're pretty amazing creatures to do what they do for us. So it really is. It's a good name for that type of fence.
And Emma Silman away for Great Britain on Bollyborn Cedric. They are away through two-face score 53.1 for them. This 9-year-old gelding by Dignified, owned by Gren Silman. As we just see there, to me, that is Flora Harris, Class Vista. We'll just have a look what has happened there. So we're just looking now, Class Vista. They did pick up a 20 penalties at the first of the combinations out on track. That is the Brookfield Equestrian combination corner that we didn't see. And perhaps she's just run into trouble further on round the course. We'll wait for an update on Class Vista and Flora Harris to why they have decided to call it a day. Yeah,
unfortunately, there aren't that many cameras on course here, or there are lots, but we don't get to see that many. We've just got one screen in front of us, so we're only able to see what all the viewers at home are seeing.
No, it is great though. We have got 10 cameras out here. I mean, what a great job the Jockey Club and Race Tech have done. And we see now Emma Silman. Sorry, that was not Emma Silman. That's Sean Davis Cook in Tentai W making the best of their way home now. That was over.
Yeah, so there we go.
The horse rail skinny brush.
I think Flora obviously had a problem at the water. I think possibly the second pass of the water by the looks of it.
That's right. She had picked up a refusal there at the Jockey Club Water Complex. That new water here at Blenheim. And after that second 20 out on course, just deciding to call it a day. As Izzy Taylor and Caroline's AKM, they have finished. It looked like Izzy was just going around for a bit of a sort of school, just to get some experience under the horse's belt. And 7 minutes 34, picking up the 15.2 time penalties, would suggest that. As away, jumping out of the start box goes our latest starter,
Emily Young-Jameson.
Emily Young-Jameson, OBS Ninja. This combination come forward. Emily, who joined us in the commentary box on Friday for some dressage commentary. Did a really good job and is such a good rider at producing these young horses. Come forward on a two-phase score of 47.1. Yeah. And when you set out on a course like this, David, in the early stages, what sort of runs through your head at this sort of point?
Look, it depends what sort of round you're going for, really. And, I mean, obviously...
So let's just go to the action. Emma Silman and Bollyborn Cedric there. That's, again, another wonderful foul at the Jockey Club Water Complex.
Yeah, and I think, sort of was a little bit bold to the corner in the middle and probably paid the price to the skinny brush on the way out. And, the horse just didn't quite pick it up quickly enough, and she's coming back round to it and jumps it really nicely the second time. And, that'll be a frustrating moment for her.
We've just got a replay of it here, I believe.
Stood off the corner a mile away.
And then, look, she sat back?
Yeah. And just look, she just jumped across it. She didn't quite get straight enough to it. Looking at the replay there, and that's what happens sometimes when you're taking a stride out to the corner like she did. She didn't quite get the turn as she should have done, and unfortunately paid the price.
And we saw her take the flag, and the fence judges were very quickly just to put that flag back in before she came round for a second attempt. And the fence judges here, I mean, they do such a great job of ensuring that the competitors are safe and jumping over these fences. If they do need to, if we do have a fall or anything like that, they are the first ones there to sort of call for assistance. As Emily Young-Jameson, OBS Ninja,
Yeah, and I think going back to the fence judges, we're very lucky in England. I know a lot of places, especially in Europe, they struggle to get people to come and do the fence judging, and we've got a fantastic network of fence judges in England that volunteer their time and effort to come out and to do the fence judging, and as riders we couldn't do it without them, and there are some fantastic guys that are doing it, and some very professional ones as well.
Well, Emma Silman and Bollyborn Cedric, they've put that 20 penalties behind them and moved quickly through the NFU Mutual Arrowhead to Skinny out of the woods for the first time. They then run on to the Duke's table, and I have to say,
just looking a bit strong there.
Full of running.
Yeah.
But Emma was good there. She took a check and then just allowed Bollyborn Cedric to keep travelling.
Yeah, and so I've just got to get enough control back here to be able to jump through this coffin. Travelling nicely. She's sitting up, looking up, and again, I didn't quite get the control. And as we can see, she's really struggling there. And I think no.
So shall we coming back round to maybe represent? We'll wait for an update on that. Bollyborn Cedric. As next away goes Ed Eltham and Indigo the 8th. They are away. They have a two-phase score of 52.4. They come forward as they settle into the early stages of this course.
Yeah, and I think going back to what we were chatting about earlier, Ben, about sort of what do you think about as you're starting off, and it really depends what sort of day you're wanting to have, really. And some of these guys will just be going out for a little bit of an educational round, and so won't be going the fastest, and some will be going out to be competitive and looking for a bit of prize money, and so I think that really depends. These fences are still sort of big fences, and you've got to have enough sort of impulsion and enough enthusiasm to go out there and jump them for sure. But I think it really depends on what you're expecting of your day, really.
As Ed Eltham and Indigo the 8th are really moving on around this course, settling into the early stages of it, approaching the Brookfield combination, the first of these combinations out on track. The first real question, they've got to jump, a big old jump to a corner on the 5 strides. As Emily Young-Jameson, OBS Nidge, come towards the bird's nest combination, the rail to ditch to rail.
A nice compact horse. Oh, and a little bit sticky over the triple brush there, but turned really well, and that's the advantage of having a nice compact horse, is that they can turn a little bit more easily than I can't remember who.
And Emily did a great job there. She really wrapped her legs around OBS Ninja, guided him through those flags, and they move on now. But David, I understand you've got to make a move. You've got various sponsorship sort of commitments and things, but thank you very much for giving us your insight on this course. I know the viewers will have really appreciated it, and we look forward to seeing you out on course in years to come.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure and great to be here and do a bit of commentating. See.
Thank you.
Cool. Thank you, Ben. Cheers.
As Ed Eltham there runs through the first of the waters, that Bentley Water Complex. Emily Grace is next away on Venezuela. They come forward on a two-phase score, 33.3. That, in fact, was their dressage score. Really competitive score. Sat in 21st place coming into this cross-country phase. And this class currently being led in the clubhouse by Sarah Bullimore, Irish Trump, on 36.3. So a good clear inside the time. Could see them go to the top of that as making the best of the way home now is Emily Young-Jameson and OBS Nidge. They've just got the target feeds flower table combination. And I'm delighted now just to be joined by a lady that has won numerous medals at young rider and junior level and really making a name for herself in the senior ranks. Bubby Upton, great to have you on. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me. It's always a treat to be sat here commentating on some lovely horses and riders. So I'm looking forward to seeing how they all get on. Well,
and it's always a treat because not only do you bring yourself and all your knowledge, but you also bring chocolate.
I know. Would you like some? Very good athlete's diet. Look at that. I know. But it's really good to be here at Blenheim. It's such an amazing event, and fantastic to see the kind of changes and improvements that the Jockey Club have made for their second year of running it. So yeah, we're really grateful to have them on board, and yeah, it's been a great show so far. So fingers crossed for a good last day for everyone.
And we just see there Emily Grace and Venezuela jump neatly through the Bentley Water Complex. Ed Eltham and Indigo the 8th approach the Spinney Cottages into the woods. That B element just been taken out following the fall of Samantha Lissington and Ricochet earlier today. But big smiles down the face. Look at that grin. Emily Young, Jameson, OBS Nidge. They look absolutely delighted. We'll get their time in for you shortly. I'm sure Emily and her mother and father, the owners of this horse, will be delighted with that round. Such a good horse. Very exciting. Only 9 years old.
We love to see happy riders and horses like that. It's the best feeling when you finish a round and yeah, your horse is giving you its all, and it's just what we all do it for, isn't it? So that was really nice to see. Ooh, looked like he came a little bit too much on a curve there and just lost the left shoulder, but that was, oh no, that's a shame. Paid the price, I think, a bit there at the C element for just the line potentially that he took in, I think.
Because it is all about how you present these horses to the fences, and you can occasionally get caught out. But North Slough for Morocco is away, cash in hand, 50.8, their two-phase score. Doesn't look to be setting out too quickly, but you don't always want to set out. You sort of build it up, do you, Bubby, or how do you would approach a horse like this course with a young horse?
Well, I think the time is traditionally incredibly tight, isn't it, for the 8-9-year-olds? I haven't actually seen, has anyone made the time
Not yet, no.
No, so I think, to be honest with you, if you're wanting to get the time in the 8-9-year-olds, you've got to set out pretty quick early on, because if you're down on 1 minute, I don't think there's really anywhere that you can catch up the minutes. It's normally a very intense course for the short formats as opposed to the long format where you've got more galloping stretches, so you can actually make up your time. So I think if you're going out wanting to be competitive and making the time, then you've got to kind of be straight out the start box and go. But, you know, like you said, it's a fine line between doing that and setting them alight. And then sometimes if you've got a fiery horse, you can then lose their head a bit. But I think, I think if you want to make the time, you've got to set out and mean business for sure.
I mean, because just looking at Jefferson 18 and yourself yesterday, you flew around this 4-star long track.
Oh, he was amazing. I was so proud of him. He's a relatively new ride for me. He arrived kind of in December time, and it was his first 4 long. And the last kind of big test he did was Chatsworth back in the spring, where he was great, but he was incredibly green. So I had, no idea really how he was going to cope round there, because there was a fair few questions, very hilly, long track, and he was just absolutely incredible. I think I potentially overrode him at times, but he was, he just kept responding and full of running to the end, and I genuinely couldn't have asked more, and it's just a real honour to ride a horse like that for his amazing owners in Dr. Geoffrey Guy.
Sorry, Jesse North Slough and cash in hand, they got a little bit tight there.
It's funny riding out of that water a bit, because you get a lot closer than you think, because they kind of gallop out the water and then the brush kind of comes at you a bit quick. I remember last year I got very close to it on a horse I had in the long, and so I remember going around yesterday with Jefferson and just thinking I just need to be a bit further off than I think is necessary, because they do end up running quite deep to that shoulder brush.
It's coming forward now around this track. It is just seeing that is Catherine Robinson and Cloud K. They've started off. I think she's changed her cross-country colours. I didn't recognise her for a second there. Come forward, 31.7, rolled the 1 pole in the show jumping and the 1.6 time penalties. This horse by Coconut Cream, 9 years old, owned by Catherine herself. Back with North Slough, cash in hand for Morocco. And she's really moved around this track nicely. She's had a few little jumps where she's gone in a little tight, but cash in hand's been very clever with this footwork.
Looks like a really cute little horse, doesn't it? Loves its job, and one I think would be a really nice one to sit on, because it looks very forgiving, and that it just wants to help its rider out, which is so important in the sport. You've got to have a horse that wants to do it fundamentally. That's
back with Catherine Robinson and Cloud K. Catherine, who rides for Canada. She's represented them at Olympic level, went to those Olympic Games in Rio, And of course her husband Giovanni Ugolotti over in Petone representing Team Italy at those World Championships, and that was nice.
Yeah, that was really nice. She set him up really nicely. He was really looking, and then she rode it really nicely and positively, and she just gave him a bit more of a reminder on landing to say, come on, mate, we haven't finished yet. We've got to do a brush coming out. But that was really, really nice to watch. Is it on a regular 3, or are people chipping in 4? Or
we're seeing a variety. Some
Yeah.
are travelling it to 3, and some are sort of chipping in and slightly holding, waiting for the 4. I suppose, I think as you event riders say, it depends what you're sat on.
And Emily looks delighted with that. So I did ponies and juniors with Emily, so I know her quite well, and yeah, she looks thrilled with that.
Yeah, on that very good dressage of 33.3, she didn't look like she'd be travelling overly quickly. She does 16 time penalties, 7 minutes 36 seconds for them, so they were 40 seconds over that optimum time. But as you say, Bubby, she looks absolutely delighted.
The time here is so tight in the 8-9-year-olds. I remember when I bought Cola here for the 8-9-year-olds back in 2019, and I didn't think I was hanging around, and I think I got 9 time vaults, and I was thinking, oh my God, I don't think I could have gone a lot quicker. To be honest, it's just you need a very quick horse that sprints up the hills to make the time in the 8-9. So I'll be really interested to see how the ones at the top of the leaderboard get on later, because it takes a real speedy horse to make the time here cross country. But I guess fundamentally we are trying to find the best horse. So.
A net rating stat for you: only 7% of horses in the last 10 years have jumped clear and made the times.
Wow. One of them being a ride of mine, actually, Clever Louis. So and he is super speedy. So so it must be very tight to get. Yeah, be interesting to see how they get on later.
Noah Slough, cash in hand, making their best of their way home. As if you're waiting for an update on Indigo the 8th and Ed Eltham, they unfortunately picked up a third and final 20 at fence 18. That is the Oxa coming away from the water. So that unfortunately resulted in elimination. So they are walking home off course as Noah Slough and cash in hand are approaching that fence that Ed actually had his third and final refusal at. And cash in hand really does look full of running, moving really smoothly around this course. But Cola, obviously you've had some good runs on Cola this year. Are you now going to sort of put them away for the season and come back next year for an attempt at another 5-star, or what's your thoughts?
Yeah, so he was phenomenal at Burley. It was a real shame on the Sunday he hit his knee and was a bit sore from it, which was a shame, and he just wasn't himself at all on the Sunday. He was very flat in the jumping, but yeah, he's been an incredible horse, and to take me around Badminton and Burley in 1 year is a real dream come true. So fingers crossed we can do the same next year, but just do quite a bit better is the plan. So he's enjoying a nice winter holiday, and hopefully he'll come out next year full of springs,
Full of beans.
Yeah.
As Catherine Robinson and Cloud K, this lovely 9-year-old, move really smoothly through the combination that's caused some problems. They call it the bird nest combination, the rail to ditch to rail.
This horse looks like it could be a very quick horse. It doesn't waste time with its knee action going in its gallop. It looks like it covers the ground very well. It doesn't waste time in the air over the fences. But like with them only being 8 and 9-year-olds, it's a fine line between how hard you push them versus giving them a nice experience. And Emma looks like she's had a good ride there, hopefully through the water. Pretty little dun horse, always catches eyes.
Sam down in the media tent.
I don't know, I'm going to have a look. I'll take my phone and I'll get this changed. That's perfect.
Is that alright? Yeah. Because what time does this class finish? I can't even remember. Because Bubby, you're
Old as well.
Well, we're now back with you and Katie Belloc and Rosemount Blue News. They are away, our latest starter out on course. And look at that two-phase score for them, 32.7. This is going to be an interesting round to watch. The top 12 will be going in reverse order, but leading the way at the moment at this stage is Sarah Bullimore and Irish Trump on 36.3. Obviously, Sarah has got her second rider, Vita AP, in third position overnight on 28.2. So it'll be interesting to see what she can do, but nicely through that Bentley water.
It's interesting watching them come from this straight on angle because the riders are riding it really well in the sense that if they're a bit off it, you can see that they're jumping it to the right of the fence as the left as we look at it, just to make sure that they cut off that left-hand door to make sure there's no chances of them running out.
Emma Manton there, Grand by Design, do a great job at the Sea Element, coming out of the woods at that bird nest combination.
Catherine's coming to the last. I think she's had a good ride. Another one that looks thrilled. Oh, it's so nice to see happy pictures through the finish line.
Yeah, and Catherine there, she obviously very experienced rider. She didn't look like she was pushing Cloud K. Obviously, a young horse she obviously thinks a lot of, and at his stage of the training, obviously isn't ready to be going fast around a track like this.
But also, like going back to what I said earlier, you can feel like you've gone fast and you haven't particularly let your foot off the pedal, and yeah, you can easily accumulate quite a few time faults here without actually going particularly slow. So yeah, it's going to be really intriguing to see how the top 10 cope with the time, because I think it will require a very, very quick horse.
Sophie Pedler, Hazeltown Quality, they are away. This horse by Obus Quality, owned by Tricia Pedler, and Sophie herself. Sophie, who's a full-time accountant and mixes working full-time with eventing, and I know she's delighted with her sort of to be here at Blenheim competing. And check of the watch there.
She's the clever one doing having a side career and doing the horses along the side. I think that's probably smart of her to do the both.
Well, up until recently, you were doing your studies and sort of you got your degree now, and you're going for the horses full time.
Yeah, for sure. It's strange only having one thing to focus on for the first time in probably my whole life. I've always juggled academics with eventing, so it's great. And Katie just like she's having a great ride there. She's
on that good score, and she does look like she's actually pushing for the time.
It's quite nice because it looks like quite a small horse, so she's not having to over set it up. It's only in a little snaffle, so I think that is part of the trick to make the time here, is not having an overly strong horse where you can just keep on rolling to the fences. And she looks like she's got her foot down.
That Duke's table there, they jump quickly over that. Katie, another rider who mixes eventing with working full time, works in property management.
Very cute through there. It was very nimble. She came in with a fair amount of speed into the rail, but it was very, very careful and nimble going through there, and always had its eyes on the job. So that was really nice.
And Catherine Robinson, Cloud K, it was a steady round, 8 minutes for them, so 25.6 time penalties. So three-phase score, 62.9. Definitely, though, a horse for the future.
And Emma's just finished. We sadly didn't get to see a lot of her. It's a really, really cool jumper, this horse. So I hope she had a good ride.
Making their way down that steep old hill through the last of the waters goes Katie Belloc and Rosemount Blue News on that good score of 32.7.
It feels like such a long way, cantering the whole way through that crossing. And you get in and your horse is like, oh, and you're like, yeah, keep coming. It's a long way to go. But it's quite a nice, inviting water.
Imogen Murray next away, MDS Sandy Hill Sorrow, 30.3 their dressage. Not a great time of it in the show jumping, 41.1 their two-phase score coming into this competition. And they were sat in 38th place overnight. Imogen, very experienced rider, ridden around numerous 5 stars on her flagship horse, Ivor Gooden. Neatly over the Esme rails there at 4. There's Emma Manton. You asked whether about Emma Manton and Grand by Design. I suggest she's had a good round there. Time 7:23, so only 10.8 time penalties. And based on what the times have been so far, that is a quick round.
Yeah, that is good. Well done her. She'll be really, really pleased with that.
Sophie Pedler, Hazeltown Quality, setting up for the first of these combinations
Ooh.
into the wood.
You seem to be careful with those fences because the horses can't really see where they're landing because the ground falls away after the house. So technically speaking, the horse would prefer to always be a bit closer to the fence going in. So that's where you can see her horse slightly hesitated on takeoff because she was quite far off the house. But they obviously know each other very well because he said, "Don't worry, Mum, I've got it." Ooh.
And interesting enough there, we've just seen Imogen Murray and MDS Sandy Hill. Sorry, we've seen a lot of horses jump the sort of the thicker part of the brush, but there she chose to sort of trust her horse and jump the thinner part.
Yeah, and she added, ooh, that was quite close. So that's quite interesting there because I'd say that was a bit of an accumulation because it drifted to the thinner part of the brush, the one before, which was to the left, and then it drifted again there coming out the water. So as a rider, you just need to think, right, we're drifting a bit left here. So if you've got a left corner or a left turn or something, you've got to be careful later on in the course that the left drift doesn't then turn into a left run out. But she did the 4 strides, so I think jumping it slightly more on the thinner part then gave her that extra bit of room to add in the extra stride.
Next away goes Katie Preston, Templar Juno, 35.2, their dressage. 2-phase score 40.8, picked up the 5.6 time penalties in the show jumping. 4 of those were jumping penalties, and Katie, such an experienced rider. This combination competed at Leon Donjay last year at those World Young Horse Championships and finished in the top 25. And Katie's such a good producer of young horses, works as a vet full-time as well.
That's handy, being the vet to your horse.
Oh
no.
So just waiting for some news on, that is Imogen Murray, MDS Sandy Hill Zorro. Good to see there, Imogen seeing the funny side, just talking to the doctor there. She looks absolutely fine, stood up there. We'll just wait for some confirmation of where that was. We've got to clear up to the Leap of Faith. That's at 16 before running down the hill to cross the water for the last time. But we'll get some information as and when we have it on that rider. Running towards home goes Sophie Pedler and the Hazeltown Quality. Now they're looking to be about 30 seconds down on the clock. You want to be about at the 6-minute mark jumping this fence. That is the horse rail skinny brush, and that is a big ditch in front of that brush.
That is a big ditch in front of the hedge, and the hedge isn't overly big, so the ditch then looks even bigger because the hedge isn't that tall. I actually didn't have the best jumps of that yesterday, but they seem to jump it really well, and I think it's actually quite nice. This year you seem to come at it a bit tighter. You don't have as much room to see it, and I think that's almost better because it breaks up the canter a bit and get a better jump over it. But coming here to the last combination, that was nice. They've got 2 elements here, whereas yesterday in the long we just had the 1, so it's that little bit, I would say, a little bit trickier than the 4 long.
Oh, Katie Belloc, Rosemount Blue News. They look quick and they were quick. 7 minutes, 5 seconds. That's the fastest round of the day so far. 3.6 time penalties, 37.5 their 3-phase score, so that goes into second place of our finishers at the moment. Just in behind Irish Trump and Sarah Bullimore on 36.3. That's definitely a horse and rider I think we'll be hearing a lot more of in the future. So we understand that Imogen Murray and MDS Sandy Hill Zorro, actually in fact they had a fall at fence 9, and that is the Jockey Club water combination up at the top of the hill, that new water here at Blenheim.
She didn't look like she was wet, so it would be interesting to see what happened.
So that means we've just got the 1 horse out on course at the moment. They've got the course to themselves, Katie Preston, Templar Juno. I'm sat alongside Bubby Upton at the moment, myself, Ben King, and I can't believe Bubby's here. You're in 5th place in the 4-star long, Jefferson 18. You've got your show jumping today.
Got to try and stay there. I'll be quite intrigued to see how he jumps today. I don't think he's ever done a long format before. And it's he hasn't done that many 4-stars. He's still relatively inexperienced. So, we'll see how he jumps later. Fingers crossed he's got his springs.
Let's see what Katie Preston does here at this Bentley Water.
Yeah, it made the fall look really easy, to be honest, there. And it kind of completely depends. It doesn't look like it's got that big a stride. But yeah, it's always... I always quite like it when you can watch a cross-country course and see people do various different strides, because then it means that us as riders have to then react and make our own decisions, as opposed to it being set in stone what you have to do. So I quite like it when there's the options of 3 or 4 or 5 and that kind of stuff.
So you have sort of no set plan as such.
Yeah. So I think with the long yesterday, it was a forward 2, I think. I can't actually remember, but we had quite a lot of options to tables to corners and things like that, and everyone was doing a variety of strides. So just looked
So
quick,
this is
get the reins.
Katie Preston and Templar Juno, some really quick thinking.
Don't cross your tracks. Very honest horse there, just kept jumping, which is really nice to see.
Yeah, no, Katie, really good rider, as I mentioned earlier. She is a full-time vet. She won the Horse and Hound Award for the Amateur Rider of the Year back in 2018. And she moves away from that Jockey Club Water Complex as our latest starter, Felicity Collins, Shadow Mini Moon, 38.8 their dressage. Rolled the 1 pole in the show jumping yesterday. Felicity, who's been won medals at junior and young rider level. She really is very much one of Team GB's up-and-coming riders, setting up a really good string of horses. And this Shadow Mini Moon starts off around this track in earnest. Felicity sat in 6th place, just behind Bubby Upton, who I'm sat alongside at the moment on her flagship ride, RSH Contendor, in the 4-star long. She'll be show jumping him later, as back with Katie Preston and Templar Juno running around the top of the course now over the A.W. Jenkinson's box towards now the real nitty-gritty part of the course. I say it's quite intense for these young horses now. They jump in and out of the woods not once but twice. This is the first time they're going to be doing it. As she makes her turn round to this NFU Mutual Complex. There's Shadow Mini Moon and Felicity Collins now jumping neatly through the first of the combinations. That's the Brookfield Equestrian Corner combination at 5 for them.
It's a very feisty little mare, the one that Felicity's riding. I think a real jumper, and I know she loves it. And I remember her saying to me that she, definitely thinks it's a top 5-star horse. So it'll be really interesting to see how she tackles this course, and also how quick she can be.
So we understand that Katie Preston and Templar Juno, as we just see them now coming towards the bird's nest, that rail, ditch to rail, they were in fact actually held out on course for a moment while Imogen Murray was getting to her feet and MDS Sandy Hill Zorro was caught. But so she has just had her time slightly altered, so that's why she's only about at this point on the course. She was actually held. And she runs, but it does not look like it's put it against her as she moves away from that bird's nest combination to run down the hill over this big imposing leap of faith fence.
It's a big log, that, but they seem to jump it really well, and then that just feels like a very steep slope down, so you have to be careful not to let them run away from you too much. It's very tempting to just kind of gallop on down the hill, but in the long format particularly, we just have to think that they have to jump again on the last day, so you just have to be a bit more careful going down the hill. And that box coming out the water as well is incredibly upright.
Because when you go to that box coming out of the water, obviously you've got the drag of the water. As a rider, how do you approach it? Because if you take too much of a pull, you're almost taking too much momentum away from the horse.
I think you just need to keep rolling at it and just try and not miss and get too deep. You want to be a little bit further off, something like with that kind of vertical front profile, because you do see often here at Blenheim, I find them jumping that box quite badly, as also they do at the shoulder brush coming out the first water. And I think it's just because your stride pattern just isn't quite as regular as it is kind of on dry land. So it's always interesting to see how they cope with that.
As Katie Preston comes to the second to last of the combination fences out on track. That's the Townfield Saddlers picnic table. Too skinny. Just now riding what's underneath her. Templar Juno approaches this big brush with the ditch in front of it, but back with Felicity Collins.
That was a really nice shot in there. Like I was saying earlier, they do prefer to be a bit deeper, and yeah, her mare jumped that really well.
This horse only 8 years old, by Clarrick Dolphin, owned by mother Vicky Collins and Mrs. Avrina Melton. And now travelling really smoothly. Now this Dukes, you need to give a bit of respect, but you need to keep travelling. Because, I mean, it is what you call a bit of a let-up fence, but it's a big table.
Yeah, you can definitely keep rolling at it quite a lot, to be honest. But then you've got to then be quick to get them back here for the coffin, because they can't actually see the ditch after the rails. So yeah, she did a good job there at getting the mare back. And it's actually interesting because I would say that the 8-9-year-old there, it's a little bit more blind for them, the triple brush that they have to jump coming out, as opposed to in the long it was on more of a straight line. So the 8-9-year-olds, obviously the younger horses, are doing a great job.
As we just see there, Katie Preston and Templar Juno, they complete their round. Katie looks absolutely delighted with that. Get a time in for them shortly. They were held out on course, so it will just be adjusted to take that hold into consideration. We understand she was hold for about 1 minute and 46 seconds as Shadow Mini Moon and Felicity Collins get through the third and final water complex. Richard Coney is next away, Poetry in Motion the second. Richard, very much a young rider that's beginning to make a name for himself. He comes forward on Mrs. Sophie White's 9-year-old gelding by Yates. Dressage of 40.4 and rolled the 1 pole in the show jumping, plus 1 second over that time, so 0.4 of a penalty for that as well. Two-phase score for them, 44.8.
Looks like it's taking a fair hold at the start. Very nice jumper, nice horse. I haven't seen this one. I did the junior and young rider teams with Richard, and on his kind of top horse, Kananaskis, which I think sadly is out with an injury, but I think this is a relatively new ride for him. But it looks like it's pretty keen.
Yeah, I believe this horse was produced up to the 3-star level by Florence White. That's the owner, Sophie White's daughter, and Richard has taken over this ride in July, so he hasn't had this ride for too long, and just beginning to build up a partnership with him. But it doesn't look the easiest, so the way the horse carries his head.
Yeah, it carries it quite high, and interestingly, he hasn't got a martingale or anything on it, so just lets it carry its head a bit high, but maybe that's how the horse likes to go. It's very... Ooh.
Did he just put a curve in there to get the 4?
Yeah, he put a curve in there, but I would say he jumped the first and headed too far out, which then put him on the 4 stride. I don't think he was ever going to get the 3 on that line. But yeah, it just looks like it's fighting for its head. I don't know if it normally goes like this or not, but it'll be interesting to see how he gets on the water and stuff, if it is still fighting with its head.
As Templar Juno and Katie Preston, time in for them, 9 minutes 58 seconds, so 8 minutes 12, so 30.4 penalties to add. 3-phase score 71.2. Adam Harvey next away, BWE Newton de Jasper. 2-phase score for them 41.7. And another rider that works full time, works in property again, and mixes his eventing with having to work full time. I know he has to get up early in the morning to ride horses before work and ride them late at night as well. He was rewarded for all of his hard work back in 2019 when he won Amateur of the Year at the Horse and Hound Awards. It's such a lovely and prestigious event. As over the Esme Oxer at 4 goes Adam Harvey and BWE Newton de Jasper, settling in to the early stages of this course.
I've never seen this horse, but I know Adam and his old horse Picasso. Oh, Richard sees a very good shot there. He's on a mission. Be very interesting to see what his time is like, because although it's taken a bit of a pull, he looks like he's not hanging around. And like I was saying earlier, you need a horse that can sprint, and this horse definitely looks like it can sprint in the galloping stretches.
Yeah, I'm just looking by Yates. So
should be fast.
Should be fast. There's Scoring Felicity Collins, Shadow Mini Moon. They've completed their round. It looked a good round for them. 7 minutes 26. So they pick up the 12 penalties. Three-phase score 54.8, but definitely a lovely horse for the future.
That was really nice. I think that's definitely the best way of doing it, to be honest. Just keep on trusting them to the A element and then rolling down on the 3. That was, yeah, spot on there by Adam. And then a nice shot coming out. Very good. Gives his horse a nice pat. Says, well done.
Richard Coney travelling towards the Duke's table. It's a big table.
Ooh. You could see Richard obviously saw kind of a far away from the table that it wasn't going to be right, because he was saying, whoa, 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 but the horse was like, let me get on with my job. So it was very clever there with its front legs.
Some really quick footwork.
Yeah, and then was good through there.
No, Richard Coney and Poetry in Motion, the second, really travelling smoothly and quickly around this course. They want to be around the 4 minutes at the Duke table, and 4 minutes 10, and they weren't sort of, they're probably about 10, 15 seconds down at the moment as he runs to the leap of faith fence. And Chance just...
Oh, sorry.
When you're riding a horse as keen as this, it can be really quite difficult.
Yeah, it's really fighting for its head, and you think sometimes, like, are you looking at the fence or not? Now, this is one to watch for sure.
This is definitely one to watch. This horse jumping out of order. We are going to be running in reverse order, but Avita AP and Sarah Bullimore, they sat in third place overnight on that two-phase score of 28.2. They jumped a lovely clear round die body show jumping track yesterday, but just picked up the 1 second over that time allowed for 0.4 of a penalty to be added to their dressage. Obviously, Sarah, who sat in third place on Coraway in the long format competition here, and they jump neatly over the Wayne Edge box at 3.
I've never watched Avita go, but I've seen her name like up on the leaderboards quite a lot. So I'm really interested to see how she goes around this track. I think another very exciting horse for the future that Sarah has. And Rich just coming to the final, second last combination. I think he added there. Is that meant to be 4?
Yeah, I think he's just added, but Poetry in Motion, the second. Rich has done a really good job of guiding this horse around and still looking full of running, but Adam Harvey now. And BWE, Newton de Jasper. I mean, Bubby, you mentioned a rider you know quite well.
Yeah, I know him quite well. A horse that he had for a long time that was, his big campaigner and helped him win the Amateur Rider of the Year award and got him onto the 3-star European team, was a horse called Picasso, which I've helped train the girl on who bought him off Adam.
So Avita AP, Sarah Bullimore run down to the Bentley Water Complex. As we said, this is a round we watch with interest. Sarah is our clubhouse leader at the moment on Irish Trump. Sat on a score of 36.3. Avita AP is definitely a really nice young horse.
And she was only 4 seconds over on her other horse, so that would give her a lot of information that she can now take round on Avita. So hopefully she can be 4 seconds quicker.
This horse by Conair.
The whole stream lost focus, or is it just us? We've got no picture.
Sarah's having a great weekend so far.
Well, I mean, she's got potentially 2 horses in the top 10 in this class, and
potentially a win in the in the four-long. I know she's right up there in the four-long, so she'll be hoping to put kind of Burley and Kentucky and make it a very good weekend here at Blenheim with Coraway.
Should we just come off air for a second? I'm guessing the stream's got no picture.
So we've just got a few technical issues our end at the moment. We don't have anything going on, so we're just going to take a short break, but we'll be right back with you. And we are delighted to be back with you, myself, Ben King, and Bubby Upton, talking through all the action as it unfolds, and what a picture to have as Avita AP and Sarah Bullimore make their way around the middle stages of this course. And as you said, Bubby, she doesn't look like she's hanging around.
No, she looks like she's means business. She knows that, this time is hard to get, and she's taking super tight lines. Like, I think that's a ditch and hedge, isn't it, there off the turn in the woods, and she came super tight to it, and that just really shows, the quality of horse she's riding, and also obviously the experience that she's got, that she can just wing in tight to that, and that is why she will hopefully get tight to the time.
Yeah, this horse owned by husband Brett Bullimore and the Seahorse Syndicate by Conair as they come to the bird's nest, the rail to ditch to rail.
And again, she took another tight line there into the rail, and that, saves a couple of seconds at every fence, and then that really adds up by the end of the course. So I like to think that she's going to be, very close to the time, and then putting pressure on the two ahead of her. It's a very nice horse. Really gallops, doesn't it?
Really covers the ground. I know Sarah, she breeds a lot of horses. She had her good mare, Lily Corinne, that she took to the Europeans at Blair Castle in 2015, and she's got lots of their offspring now on the ground. She makes her way towards home, splashing through the third and final water here at Blenheim, and scoring for Adam Harvey and BWE Newton de Jasper. They went round in a time of 7 minutes 35 seconds, so 15.6 time, giving them a three-phase score of 57.3. Richard Coney, 7 minutes 20, good time for them, 9.6 penalties, 54.4 their three-phase score, as back with Sarah Bullimore galloping up the hill to the latter stages of this course. As Ben Way, Gunlaw, a man that was in the commentary box yesterday, he is away, 33.7 their dressage score. I know he was absolutely delighted with that. It's a horse he thinks a lot of, Gunlaw, owned by Mrs. Nikki Lay, only 8 years old. Added 1.2 time penalties in the show jumping, and they are away over the first three.
Interesting, Sarah got there quite close on the 4, and we've seen people do 5, and it just shows that when you're in that kind of higher gear going for the time, how much more distance your horses make up. And yeah, she's absolutely flying. Looks like a fantastic
So
round
she
so
wants
far.
to be around 6 minutes, and by my reckoning, she's about, I'm at the unofficial clock, she's about 6:04, 6:05. She just checks the watch and pushes on. So Sarah Bullimore, she is going to go close to the time by the looks of it, really pushing on for home on a Vita AP on that good two-phase score of 28.2. There's only 2 horses that could go ahead of her. That would be Piggy March and Halo. Hayden Hankey heads up.
And it's such a fine line with a rider. You know that you're close to the time, but then you've got to get the fences jumped. So you just have to keep your competitive instinct a bit in check and make sure that you get the fences jumped. So she's got 1 more to go.
It's so exciting. Only 3 8-year-olds have won this class. Can we see a 4th today? Sarah Bullimore and Avita AP, check of the watch, pats down the neck.
She didn't overly press through the finish there, so I'd like to think that she maybe thought she was inside the time.
We'll wait for her time with interest as Ben Way and Gun Law have made quick progress through the Bentley Water Complex at 7 and 8. As a man we haven't seen a lot of, Matt Glentworth, 4th right, runs over through the water they go, over the Leap of Faith fence on that two-phase score of 45.3, as they'll be splashing through that water to jump out nicely over the Target Fleet's flower table. And Matt, such an experienced rider, been based with Andrew Tucker for over 15 years now and helps Team Japan. Went out to Tokyo with Team Japan as one of the team members, supporting team members, as 4th right, owned by Barbara Hervey, runs on up the hill towards this big imposing Oxer. But we've got a score in for Sarah Bullimore and Avita AP. And Bubby, as you said, you read it right. She thought she was inside the time. She just wasn't inside the time. She nailed it exactly on that optimum time, 6 minutes, 56 seconds. So
she was
no
a bit
jumping.
casual going through the finish to be bang on the time. Wow, that's perfectly judged. Yeah, very, very impressive. And Dirk Schrader yesterday was also bang on the optimum time. I'm on the same score as him, and he was definitely playing with fire going through the finish, knowing that he was, he properly kind of judged it to be bang on the time. I don't think I'm brave enough to do that, but that's great for Sarah. That's a very impressive round.
As we just saw there, Matt Glentworth and 4th right making their best of their way home. They got a lovely jump over the horse rail skinny brush at 20 for them. So they've just got the 3 numbered fences, 4 jumping efforts, but we're back with Ben Way and Gun Law at the far end of the course. As I said, Ben was over the moon with that dressage of 33.7, and that clear jumping yesterday in the show jumping, that die body track, it really was tough and challenging.
She always does produce a very tough show jumping track, so we really are, seeing the very best 8 to 9 year olds, and whoever wins is, thoroughly deserves it. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out.
Ben riding this horse by Sligo Candy Boy. He's only 8 years old. Looks full of running. As Matthew Glentworth, 4th right. They jumped the Paul Roger Champagne finale to finish. Pats down the neck. He's going to have been, he looked like he wasn't chasing the clock. We'll wait for a time with interest. And 7 minutes 31 seconds, so picks up the 14 time penalties there. 3 face score for Matthew Glentworth, and 4th right 59.3. As Ben Way and Gun Law jump neatly through the combination in the woods there. That's the rail to ditch to rail, the bird's nest combination.
It's been so nice having Ben on the kind of more journalism side recently. He was at Badminton and Burley, and it's always so nice speaking to a rider, because they really speak to you from because they get it. They've been in your shoes, so it's we love seeing him on that side of things, obviously as well as riding. Ben
does a great job with all his media commitments. Works on Badminton and Burley radio, and comes in for spots of commentary as and when he can. As away goes Adam True, Sanders Court ambassador, owned by Dr. Rosalind Devereux. This 9-year-old gelding by Cruising Ambassador. 34.8 their dressage. They come here with a 2-face score of 48.4. They had a few penalties in the show jumping, but I'm sure Adam won't mind. This horse sets off around the early stages of this track. Matthew Glentworth, he completed his round. 14 time penalties picked up for them, so 59.3 their 3-face scores. Ben Way and Gun Law run on up the hill and over that big imposing oxer, and we'll see what he does at the second last of these combinations.
Should go on the 4. Oh, I think both was there. It was quite interesting because it completely depends on what you decide to do on landing. It looked like he was going to go on the 4, and then he suddenly changed his mind a bit. But it just shows, that's the art of cross country, isn't it? When both options are there, as long as you make your decision. Yeah, he knew. He made the decision and went for it. And as you say, that's what makes a good rider. That's running along. A lady we haven't seen a lot of. This is Evangeline Gaskell and Halcyon Graf. Halcyon Graf looking full of running as they pop over the leap of faith before running down the hill. This horse by Graf and Salts, owned by Lindsay Gaskell, known as Scampy at home, and really does look like it's giving Evangeline quite a tough time, full of running through that water. Lucy Jackson is next away on Dasset Showman. Lucy, who's been coming in and doing some commentary for us in both this 4-star short competition and the long 4-star long here at the Blenheim International Horse Trials. And she sets off on Dasset Showman, this lovely 8-year-old gelding by Tolanar, owned by Gillian Greenless. I know Lucy was really pleased with that dressage of 31.8. Didn't have a great time of it in the show jumping. The horse just went a little bit green, so added the 16.8 penalties there. And she'll be using this run as just to get some experience under the horse's belt, I would have thought. Yeah, it looks like she hasn't set out wanting to make the time. This looks like, exactly like you say, show them the crowds for the first time and just give him a nice experience and, set him up nicely for the future. Evangeline Gaskell, Halcyon Graf, making the best of their way home. Looks a little bit strong, but she's doing a really good job at just getting it back and then making sure that she gets the fences jumped as opposed to taking a liberty and coming in a bit out of control. Yeah, and Evangeline, she's a young rider. She finished 9th at Houghton Hall in the Under-21 Championships back in May. And she really has done a great job riding Halcyon Graf round because he hasn't been the easiest by the looks of it. No, he looks like he's taking a fair pull.
comes to this final combination, don't want to be taking any liberties at the Boodles offset houses, so you need to set up. David Evans done such a great job of designing this track.
Make sure she gets her turn. Doesn't look like she's got a lot in the hand there. That can't be the nicest feeling. I personally like them kind of on the end of my fingertips, so I don't have to work too hard. Looks like Lucy's taken the right flag of the A element there, but looked absolutely fine over the B element, so she obviously did a very good job at rectifying the situation if it wasn't quite to plan at the A element.
And another rider we see choosing to ride in some eyewear cross country. We saw Izzy Taylor earlier and just seen Evangeline Gaskell and Halcyon Graf. He is still full of running at the end of this course, and difficult horse to ride when they're that keen.
Yeah, I know. I wonder. It looked like it only had a snaffle, and I wonder if she might change her bit for her next run so she has a bit more control. It'll make it a lot easier for her.
And timing for them, 7 minutes 13 seconds, so 6.8 time penalties. So quick enough round there, 47.5.
Yeah, without having to
score.
without having to do all that setting up that she had to do, which takes.
That was Adam True and Sanders Court Ambassador. Don't quite know what happened there.
It, like I was saying earlier, is a lot more difficult, I actually think, than the four long, because it is a blind turn. So as you turn them left, there is the more likelihood of them drifting out through or ducking in on the left shoulder. That was a shame there, because I thought he rode in quite well and got the ditch jumped, and the horse just obviously didn't lock on as he turned left for it.
So if you're just tuning in, myself, Ben King, and Bubby Upton bringing you all the action in this 4-star short 8 and 9-year-old class at the Blenheim International Horse Trials. We are watching now Helen Wilson and MCS Maverick come forward. 31.0 their dressage. We had the 12 penalties in the show jumping, so 43.0 their two-phase score in 44th position overnight coming into this cross-country phase.
Haven't seen this horse before. I'm so used to seeing Helen on her lovely black horse, Mayoni, who was obviously incredible around Burley.
Yeah, she had a really good result there, and she was actually, interesting enough, she was 6th on Mayoni here last year in the long format competition. So a lady that knows how to ride around this course.
Yeah, she sure does, and yeah, I think that horse caught a fair few people's eyes at Blenheim last year. He's a really, really impressive horse. So, good to get mileage on that one, and then, go around again this year on a different one.
I know Nicole Brown is has a love affair with my Ernie. She calls it, Nicole's Ernie.
I love Nicole's little obsessions with her horses. It makes me laugh. I can't wait to have one of mine that she's obsessed with. I'd enjoy that. I was going to say, I didn't know if he really took his time at setting up there. Sit up.
Ooh.
We do always have to be ready for everything cross country, because you never quite know what's going to happen on landing, but he did a good job at sitting up and saving that. And
that's what I was saying, rider's fitness is just so important, because you need to have that core strength for situations like that. You need to be able to get yourself back in the saddle.
It's so important. I take my fitness quite seriously, go to the gym twice a week, and I had a riding accident this time last year, and that's kind of made me take it even more seriously. I always have, but you have to be that much stronger coming back from injury, and it really helps. And I'm really interested to see Stephen Hill go around, obviously a previous ride of Piggy March, so I think he'll be really pleased with that jumping round, because I think that's the thing that this horse is potentially its weakest phase is the show jumping, so one down round a tough Blenheim 8-9-year-old track is, I would say, a very good result.
I know himself and owner Mr. Jeffrey Burton were delighted, comes into this competition in 17th place on that two-phase score of 32.7. And
it's tight, isn't it, at the top as well? So a quick, speedy round would, really put the pressure on those ahead of him and hopefully put him for a top 10 placing. Yeah,
I mean, we've got Sarah Bullimore on 28.2. I mean, Avita AP, who's been round, they are sort of clubhouse leaders, and only Piggy March and Hayden Hankey could go ahead, who are sat in first and second on Halo and Heads Up. But then, I mean, you're looking down into second place at the moment. Again, it's Irish Trump, Sarah Bullimore, 36.3. So a quick round inside the time would really put Stephen Hill and IWO Joe in the mix, as MCS Maverick and Helen Wilson kick on round the middle part of this course.
It's it's so interesting watching all the horses make completely different work of the distances. Like Lucy was relatively quiet going in there, and the horse still made the fall really easily, and it just shows the variation of horses that we have in this sport. Long, short striding, big, small. It's fascinating to see, and what makes it such an interesting sport for sure. It's a really nice horse that Helen's on. She definitely, I think, has a theme of riding good jumpers.
And really nice and smooth through there.
Yeah, really nice. She looks like she's going quite quick. I'd like to think it should be relatively close to the time.
As Helen Wilson and MCS Maverick comes towards this big imposing Duke table at the middle part of this course. But I understand, Bubby, you've got to make a move and go and prepare for your show jumping round on Jefferson 18. Currently sat in 5th place in this 4-star long competition. Obviously, you can watch all the show jumping of that long format competition on the other stream. Nicole Brown and guests talking you through the action. We wish you a lot of luck, and thank you very much for your help.
Thank you. I'll need it. Hopefully, we pick our toes up this afternoon.
Crossing the line with a big smile on their face. Definitely a horse for the future. I know she thinks a lot of it. Lucy Jackson, Dasset Showman. They complete their round. 7 minutes, 54 seconds. But she won't be worried about that at all, as Helen Wilson and MCS Maverick run on down the hill and splash through the water for the last time. And as she does that, I am delighted to be sat alongside a man who really helped with the show jumping commentary and the dressage commentary in this 8 and 9-year-old 4-star short competition. It's none other than Matt Heath. Matt, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks, Ben. Yeah, really good. I have been a little bit tied up this morning with my horse, so I haven't had a chance to see too much of this competition. I have had a little catch-up with one or two of the people outside, and they say it's been very exciting, so looking forward to getting into the crunch time now.
No, it's definitely a course that it's had its fair share of problems. David Evans has done a great job of designing this track. And yeah, you say the crunch time, we're going to be running the top 12 in reverse order, so it's going to get exciting. We've got about 18 horses left to run. As neatly over the second last combination goes Helen Wilson and MCS Maverick.
Yeah, Helen's a rider I love to watch cross country. She's got such a good eye for a fence. She always rides the horses in such a lovely balance, and I personally think it'd be lovely to see her on a lot more at this level.
So we'll watch this round with interest. This is Stephen Hill, I00 Joe, on that good two-face score of 32.7. And this is a horse that's got a good bit of experience with Piggy March up to the 3-star level. And he will be looking to post a good result here as he runs down the hill. And great to see crowds out enjoying watching these 8 and 9-year-olds. These really are horses of the future. We've seen so many good horses come out of this class. We've seen the wonderful Avery, who was second here back in 2009 with Andrew Nicholson. And
Stephen looks really positive here, leaving the water. He knows that he's in with a good shot at a good place in here, and this is a fast horse as well. I think that his weakness over the years has been potentially the show jumping, but touch wood, he's been a very solid cross-country horse. I certainly don't want to put the mockers on him, but he's been a very solid cross-country horse, and certainly looks to be kicking on towards home now.
He needs to be around 6 minutes jumping the fence after this combination. I've got the unofficial clock, and he's around about sort of the 5:50 at the moment. So, he does look like he's slightly behind the clock at the moment. I'm just seeing that he looks like he's riding a double bridle. That'd be, or perhaps it's 2 rings.
I think it's just 2 reins on a single bit, actually, probably. Yeah.
As away go Mark Davison, Cooley Goodwood. They're in the middle stages of this course. 34.8. Their two-face score. Cooley Goodwood by Obus Quality, owned by Mrs. Susie Wood. Mark, who is based with Piggy March, and really beginning to form a really good team of young horses.
Yeah, absolutely. Mark's been with Piggy a few years now, and there's no better person to learn the trade from, that's for sure. And you can see him off the turn there, pick up that early stride and keep travelling away, in a way that you would expect Piggy to. She's really been able to put her stamp on his riding, and it's really paying off.
And we just see now the sun's coming back out, and with these young horses, they're jumping sort of from dark into light or getting shadows. It can have a bit of effect sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. And the lights, very, very influential cross country, especially when you're going from light to dark and dark to light, and it's something that actually on the cameras we don't get a chance to see. How much that really affects the fences. Mark's very, very positive all the way through here. He's on a good score.
It's a difficult fence here because you need to sort of keep moving to get the time, but you need to get the horse back to set them up for the ditch, then to the C element.
Absolutely. So interestingly, I think that the 8 and 9s and the long format horses swap sides this year through that combination, and I personally think it's quite a bit more difficult on the left hand side. So I'm not surprised to have seen it cause quite a lot of trouble. Quite a lot of trouble this year. Just have to pull them onto the line of the skinny. Marks saw a good one there, just slipped his reins in the air and allowed the horse to really stretch his head and neck down and attacking into that water.
And scoring Stephen Hill, Idablo Joe. Luckily, I've just got the unofficial clock. They went round 7 minutes, so 1.6 time penalties. 3-phase score for them, 34.3. So that will see them go into second place on the clubhouse leaderboard as it stands at the moment. Helen Wilson, MCS Maverick, 7 minutes 23, so 10.8 time penalties. 3-phase score 53.6. Next away goes Michael Ryan, 4 Island. Clareth Mountain come forward on a 2-phase score 54.9. Michael's such an experienced rider, represented Ireland at Europeans, Worlds and Olympic Games. As in the woods goes Sarah Innes, Action Lady M, another top international Irish rider. This lovely 8-year-old mare owned by Andrew Cox.
So a great shot through that combination. That combination's come up quite long for a lot of people. Sarah actually sat and held for the 3. She sees a very, very good stride very early on. A naturally fast rider cross country as well. She's always very, very competitive cross country.
And really nice mare. We saw it show jump yesterday, and it really picked its feet up, and a horse I'm sure she's very excited about, and she doesn't look like she's hanging around.
Yeah, very, very fast through that combination, the rail to the ditch there. She tight line, obviously trusts the horse impeccably in front, and that really showed on the line that she rode and the speed in which she had the horse in perfect balance, but very positive speed-wise through that combination, and is really travelling on to this Trakehner at the top of the hill before the water.
Well, we'll try and get an idea of where she is roughly. She wants to be leaving the water, jumping the target feeds flower table, which is on the other side, at around just over the 5-minute mark, about 5 minutes and 5 seconds. So hopefully her watch will be beeping shortly, and so we'll see what she does.
Really good to see. She was so positive through that top section, and then gave the horse super balance going down to the water there. It's very, very easy for riders when they're going quick just to gallop into the water a little bit too fast. And obviously when the horses hit the water, same as we would if we were running into the sea, you get hit by the drag, and sometimes that can really knock them off balance. But Sarah showing all her skill set there and making sure the horse was in a super balance for that.
As Mark Davison, Cooley Goodwood, they've completed their round 7 minutes 5 seconds, so quick round for them. 3.6 time penalties, 38.4 their 3-phase score. So that will put them into 5th place in the clubhouse as it stands at the moment. Things really beginning to hot up now in this 8 and 9-year-old 4-star short competition. And this was a few moments ago. This was Mark Davison, Cooley Goodwood, jumping the last to complete. Pat down the neck there from Mark for Cooley Goodwood.
They've had a good season. They've picked up a lot of good results this year. Been very, very consistent. So I should imagine Mark and Connections will be thrilled with the year that they've had. It's nice to see Michael over with a few horses here, because I haven't seen Michael over for a couple of years, and obviously we were so used to seeing him around those big tracks, time and time again, he's obviously getting a good string of horses back up through the levels, and that's great to see.
And Arthur Defoe for France is away on Matterhorn Rising. Matterhorn Rising by Mill Law, owned by Mrs. Annie Rose Chantler. And Arthur, another rider that's really building up a good string of horses with his wife, American International Logan. I know Logan spent a good bit of time at William Fox Pitts. And Arthur spent time with Andrew Nicholson learning his trade. And he had a good result at Burley a couple of weeks ago on his 5-star horse. And he jumps nicely over the Esme parallel.
You can see right from the start there, I feel like Arthur's gone out to give this horse a very educational ride. He's not been, you see he's a gear slower than, or maybe even 2 gears slower than quite a lot of the combinations we've just seen going round. He's a hugely experienced rider, even though he's not, not that senior in years. He's very, very experienced across all levels, and a very, very good producer of horses. So he's obviously decided going out that the best way for this horse is to go and have a nice ride round and gain confidence.
And as we see, Irish International Michael Ryan and Clareth Mountain, this lovely gelding owned by Nicholas Pomeroy, jump through the bird's nest. We've got some news in on Sarah Innes, Action Lady M. Matt, you said she looked like she was attacking it and she was riding really smoothly around. Well, she was. That time, 6 minutes, 55 seconds. So 1 second inside the optimum time. Nothing to add to that dressage of 30.9. And that puts them into second place in the clubhouse at the moment, in front of Stephen Hill and Idabolo Joe, and just behind Vita AP and Sarah Bullimore in this 8 and 9-year-old 4-star short competition at Blenheim International Horse Trials.
Michael, in the same way as Sarah did, just balancing the horse down into the water after the chicane we just saw, and really those two Irish internationals really showing their experience cross country.
And from one Frenchman to the next, Victor Burton comes forward now on Dali Bougal, 37.1 their dressage. Rolled the 3 poles in the show jumping. Victor, 25 years old, based up with Oliver Townend, rides as his second jockey.
Yeah, and I mean, Oliver thinks an awful lot of this guy. He just got a little bit tight to fence 3 there. He'll be glad to fence 4. Sorry. He'll be glad to just get that one out the way and hopefully just settle into a rhythm now. Try and look for a good distance at this tricky combination at fence 5. He rides a lot for Oliver and is a very crucial part of his team. And they're huge supporters of each other. So. A really good partnership.
And for the, it is just so important to have a good team of people at home, for, riding your horses, because obviously Oliver, I know he has a lot of horses, he can't ride them all, so it is so important to have a good team behind you.
Absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt, and he's doing a super job here. Really positive into the water there. He saw a stride halfway down the hill and made sure that the horse ended up where he wanted the horse to be.
And really kicks on away from the water, and that is an iconic water here at Blenheim. As next away now is Alicia Port and Demi Louveau. They come forward, a dressage of 43.3. I don't think it quite went to plan in the white boards, but I know Alicia was absolutely over the moon with her clear jumping yesterday. She did pick up 0.4 of a penalty for being a second over the time allowed, but I think she is very much looking forward to this round. I saw her on Friday night walking the course with Robin Dumas, Robin who helps train her, and obviously Robin whose daughter Millie, top level event rider, ridden up to that 5-star level, now producing a lot of good young horses. And they're based at Rosamond Green, one of the best schooling facilities in the country. Such a great range of cross-country fences they have, as Alicia Port and Demi Louveau set out and come to this Esme Oxer. There's a big old Oxer at the first part of this course.
My gut feeling is, in the way that she started off, obviously she's going for a very educational round. Like you said, the dressage didn't go to plan. She knows that, probably a confidence-giving round is the best way to go. But I think probably just wants to up a gear if possible. I just feel like those first few fences, these are big fences. and just probably a little bit almost overcautious over these first few. I'd just like to see just a half a gear more.
Yeah, Alicia, who works full-time as an equine underwriter in London for Convex Insurance, and I just see she's got a dog chasing her out on course, so that's not going to help her.
No, there's a very embarrassed owner somewhere having loosed their dog. Looks to be getting quite a bit of pace for a little one. Hopefully this won't affect, but it's amazing just how much that distracts the horses, and we do ask everyone, please do try and keep hold of your dogs when we're going round. This is a
you spend a lot of time, don't you? Hours, months, years of preparation to get to this level. It doesn't just happen overnight.
No, exactly, and it would be very unfortunate if that had caused an issue. But we understand the dog is now back with someone on the end of that lead.
As Michael Ryan and Cliff Mountain, they've completed their round. Ooh,
that for me he was just very, very free and open to the first part of the combination, the rail ditch brush, and
that's Victor Burton, Dali Bugal.
Yeah, and you can see by the way the horse jumped the fence the second time that the question itself wasn't the issue. It was purely that they just weren't having the ride through there. They weren't quite the speed that they needed to be, and they weren't having the ride through there that they required to be able to read that last element. He'll be really frustrated with that, but he's a professional. He'll try and make sure that from here on in he gives the horse plenty of confidence
as he runs on down the hill. Great to see the crowds out in force. Blenheim, it's not just the horse trials, it's a real family atmosphere here. They've got a great range of activities for all of the family. The Jockey Club have done such a great job of putting this event on. And just see they're reaching out of the water. There goes Victor Burton and Dali Bugal as from one Frenchman to the next. Martin Deniscott comes forward. Diabolo de Ems, 34.1 their dressage. 12 penalties in the show jumping. Another wonderful foul of Die Body's track. 46.1 their two-phase score.
Lovely jump over fence too there. Looks a really, really nice type, this.
This horse, owned by Emmanuel Coutet, comes forward to the third fence and sees a nice stride there. As Arthur Dufour, Matterhorn Rising, they have completed their round 7 minutes and 47 seconds. As Matt said, he didn't think he was setting out to chase the clock. 20.4 time penalties. So definitely a horse just to get some experience under the belt.
This is starting to look a better rhythm now up at the top for
this is Alicia Port, Demi Lugo.
Alicia, she's just started a little defensive, and then she's just very sensibly ended up underneath that fence coming out of the woods there, and very, very sensibly, quickly opting for the longer route. And that's really mature riding. The distance is very, very committed out of there, and rather than risk going to the reins and adding one, she just very quickly pulled around, like we said right from the start.
Because as a rider riding around these cross-country courses, you sort of need plan A, B, C. You need to be reactive, I think would be the word.
Yeah, absolutely you do. And we walk all the available options, or certainly try to walk all the available options, and David Evans gives us plenty of options on this course. This horse just starting to get a little bit strong, and I think that's probably come from the fact that they ended up setting out in quite a quiet rhythm, and if you set out too quiet, then the horses just get a little bit exuberant, and then you struggle to make distances. Again, there's just chipping in that little small one to the brush. The horse stayed very, very straight and very, very true to the line, but just needs to have a little bit more positivity to be able to get those committed distances coming out of these combinations.
Yeah, this 9-year-old mare by Vigo Cease, owned by Alicia, Mrs. Karen Port, Mr. Nar McKibben and Mrs. Suport. Interesting enough, Nar McKibben is actually the head of underwriting at Convex, so actually Alicia's boss. So there's a bit of pressure having to ride for your boss.
I wouldn't fancy that job, but yeah, the moaning could continue through the weekend into the week, and your chores can get very, very difficult.
It could be a very difficult situation as away goes for Belgium. Cyril Gravelik coming forward on El Mundo de Gasco. Good dressage of 32.2, but again, another one to drop that one rail in the show jumping. It proves costly, knocked him sort of out of the top 25, and he comes forward now on this lovely 9-year-old by Quintus de Mari. And sorry, it's not by Quintus de Mari, it is actually by Dollar de Pierre, owned by Cyril himself, as Alicia Port and Demi Luvo making the best of their way home. They've climbed the hill away from the third and final of the waters and popped neatly over the Oxa. Victor Burton, Dali Bugal, they've completed their round, 7 minutes 33 seconds. Obviously they did pick up those 20 penalties out on course as well. Let's see what she does here, Matt, on this Demi Luvo. This horse produced up to the novice level by Gaspard Massoud.
Yeah, and again we saw, the horse just having to reach a little bit for the distance there. I think David Evans has set these distances for the horses to be travelling at a certain meterage per minute, and we're just ending up a little bit defensive in the rhythm, but we're nearly home, so she'll be very, very pleased to have got this one under her belt and gained a lot of experience. She'll have the opportunity to watch this back, and I'm sure Robin will go through the video with her, and we'll see her come out and be slightly more attacking in the future.
As moving on quickly, Martin Denscott and Diablo DMs
got him very tight to that big table. Horse ended up giving it quite a rub. They sat very tight and stayed together as a combination. Talk about making it happen. So I think that unsettled them. They didn't quite get the balance that they needed then to the rail before the ditch, and because of that then ended up on that really tricky 4 strides rather than the 3 up to the brush coming out, and the horse very, very honest to stay on the line there.
And that's what you need in a good event horse. They need to be quick with their feet and almost want to go between those flags. If you can get them to the fence, almost want to jump. And Diablo DMs definitely on Martin's side today. As coming forward now, Daisy Barkley, D's de Figure, 32.1 their dressage. She was delighted with that clear show jumping yesterday. Obviously that show jumping only had a 21% clear rate. Only 15 of the 70 horses that came forward jumped clear inside the time. And Daisy being one of them, on a horse I know she thinks a lot of, owned by Camilla Case, Mrs. Martha Ivory, Mrs. Penelope Makins, and mother, Mrs. Caroline Dick. Daisy, who's steeped in equestrian history. Her mother Caroline rode as an eventing. Her father Dick won the Grand National.
Absolutely. And, Daisy's always been someone that has been very, very natural across the country. We grew up watching Daisy riding such good cross-country rounds. You see that, you really using her feel there. She's just giving those a little wake-up call. He was just a bit green into the water. You saw her just give him a couple of little taps behind the saddle just to say, come on, you need to just sharpen up a little bit. Using her experience.
Oh, well, that looks to me like it is our Belgian rider.
He looks a little damp.
Looking a little bit soggy. That is in Cyril Gravelik and Mundo de Gasca. I'm not quite sure what happened there. We're looking like he had a party in company up at the Jockey Club water combination, that new water here out on course. And he just sort of must have come to grief. We'll try and see if we've got any footage of that. But Daisy Barkley and D's de Figure, they're at that Jockey Club water complex where Cyril parted company, but it proves no problems for them.
No, Daisy using all her experience there again. This horse looks a little green actually into the waters, which again meant that the distance didn't quite come up how she wanted it to be to the middle element. Daisy did a really good job, stayed in behind and always thinking positively, giving the horses every opportunity, making sure that she's not too short with the reins, making sure that she's got her leg on and really pressing the horse forward. And she's quickly up into rhythm again just to try and get some really forward positive jumps, making sure that to that ditch brush at the top there that she really attacked the fence and got the horse back up in front of her leg.
So Daisy Barclay is the figure, the only horse out on course at the moment. This lovely 9-year-old gelding by Enzo are really travelling smoothly around the middle stages of this course. And a chance for Daisy now just to sort of take stock before she gets to a bit more of the sort of nitty-gritty, the intense part of the course with these combinations coming up.
Daisy saw a great stride into the fence, into the wood, and really travelling on the way out. Again, sees a good stride. Very quickly opted for the 4 strides there. Just hovered in the air, landed a little bit on all 4s. Daisy showing all of her experience, and very quickly it almost looked like that was how it was meant to be, didn't it?
It did indeed. Such an experienced rider. She represented Team GB and won medals at Olympic Games, European Championships. Very much a rider, had that lovely horse spring along.
Absolutely. She's having to work incredibly hard on this horse. He really has gone quite green on her. I'm not sure about his experience. He's not a horse that I've clapped eyes on too much. But he definitely has come here and just gone a little bit green. And Daisy doing a really good job of making sure that he stays focused on his job. He looks incredibly straight though, having said that. Even though when he goes green, as long as Daisy's there supporting him, he's still very, very keen to stay between the flags. So I'm sure he'll gain masses from this experience.
So just looking through, this is the first time that Dies de Figure has run at the 4-star level. As next away goes Georgie Campbell, Global Quest. Now we're moving into our top 12 in this competition. 31.4, their 2-phase score. We've got our clubhouse leader, that is Sarah Bullimore, and Avita AP. She jumped out of order. She's on 28.2. Only Halo, Piggy March, and Heads Up, Hayden Hankey can go ahead of her. But we've still got the lower placings to fight out for. Currently sat in second in the clubhouse is Action Lady M. Sarah Innes, 32.9. So we'll watch this round with interest. Georgie Campbell, Global Quest.
I didn't watch all of George's round earlier, but the combinations that I did see, it looked absolute class. She's already had that ride round. She's had a feel for the track. That's certainly a help as a rider to have already had the feel for the course. So she'll be really positive here and trying to get the best result possible. She's a very competitive rider.
Darcy De La Rose did look really good, really smooth around this course. As I mentioned earlier, I saw Georgie out walking the course last night with Katie Preston, who went round on Templar Juno earlier, and her husband, international New Zealand event rider Jessie Campbell, as now she runs down the hill to this Bentley Water Complex.
Oh, horse just went a little bit green into the water. Georgie having to sit behind, really press forwards. She did a good job. She's got the horse back in front of her leg coming out.
This horse owned by Mr. Lance Moorish and Mrs. Diana Moorish by Metropole. And
big horse, isn't he?
He is a big horse. He's good 16-3, 17 hands. As coming to the end of their round, Daisy Barclay and Dies de Figure, they really look like they had a good round. As Matt said, she's had to really use all her experience. At times, Dies de Figure ran a little bit green, but we'll get a time in for them.
Big puff of the cheeks as Daisy came through the finish there. You can tell that she just had to work quite hard in places. Here we see Georgie strang up at the top water. Sorry, Georgie Campbell now. It was super through there, wasn't it? Really positive riding right from the start, and then sat and balanced to the middle element. Very forward up to the skinny out. And you can tell that this horse still got plenty of running at the top. And Georgie is pressing for the time. Yeah, very positive in this top section of the course.
Yeah, there's good prize money on offer in this class. As Aoife Clark and Sportsfield Freelance, they are away. 2-phase score 31.3. You see how tight it is. We've got Georgie Campbell 31.4. Aoife Clark now 31.3. It is going to be tight in this class for the conclusion of this 8 and 9-year-old 4-star competition. here at the Blenheim Palace International Horse Trials. And this, Matt, is a lady that doesn't hang around.
Absolutely. She's, traditionally very, very fast across the country. She's set off in a very positive rhythm. She's a very, very competitive lady, and I'm sure that she'll be keen to try and get as close to that optimum time as well. I don't know how many horses have made the time. I've seen one since I've been sat here. I don't know how many others have made the time, but we know that it is achievable, and she'll be having a good go at trying to get as close to that optimum time as possible. Very tight line there, saw a good stride. Little slap down the shoulder with the stick as she lands just before this next combination, which can be quite influential traditionally.
Yeah, we've
at
only had
Blenheim.
2 horses inside the optimum time at the minute. That was Sarah Innes, Action Lady M, and Sarah Bullimore, Avita AP. So we'll see what they can do here. But, yeah, Aoife, really experienced rider, ridden for Ireland at those Olympics back in London in 2012, where she finished 7th individually on Master Crusoe, a horse that actually she had here back in 2009, the inception of it, and finished 12th on him that day. So we really are seeing the horses of the future in this class.
Absolutely, and not just winning it, all the way through the placings of this class are top class horses.
Well, Toledo de Cursa, Ballamore class, they finished 36th and 38th respectively in 2016.
They really, yeah.
And they've done all right.
Yeah, absolutely. Aoife very, very good and positive through the first late crossing there. So she really looks like she's pressing on and having a good ride. It's a lovely horse.
Georgie Campbell slips the reins as
Big
coming
shot
out of the water.
Yeah, big shot out of the water there for Georgie, and she really sat behind, slipped the reins, and so still looks to be responding to her urgings as she's powering on up the hill. A little bit more.
So interesting enough, 5 minutes 5 seconds at the bottom of the hill. She looks like she's on track at the moment.
Yeah, and having that early ride really does help.
As away goes Louise Bradley and Pontstown Brave. 31.2, their two-phase score. They added nothing to their dressage in that show jumping phase. Louise very much a rider on the upward trajectory. She's getting some lovely young horses and comes forward on the Alison Garlick owned Pontstown Brave. This horse sourced by Nicky Roncroni, but we run back with Georgie Campbell Global Quest.
Yeah, I would say she is quietly confident on the clock, the way that she moved away from that fence. She moved away from that fence, offering a little bit of balance. I think she thinks she's confident on the time, which is she's really kicking for home now. But in between those two fences, she just didn't want the horse to get too on his head. We said earlier he's a big horse. He's only young, so she just wanted to make sure she got a bit of preparation around the turn for the big ditch brush underneath the trees. Really sits in the dark underneath there. We can't see that on the camera, but it really does sit in the dark underneath those trees.
And we were saying earlier how light can, change the way horses read the fences, and this is the final combination. These are the Boodle offset houses.
Very, very smooth through there. That was a very classy piece of riding, and she's pressing away. Quick look at the watch, and then another kick. So I would say we're very close to the optimum time. Probably not too many seconds in hand.
No seconds in hand. She can't afford any time penalties. She will drop down the order as Aoife Clark and Sportfield Freelance, this lovely 9-year-old mare owned by the Freelance Syndicate, run on towards the Duke's table at the top of the hill.
Yeah, Aoife just doing a bit of adjustment there. She wanted to make sure she didn't get too fast a flatter jump at that big table before this tricky combination. It's been very influential all day. She'll be very, very keen to get through this, and a super job through there. Very, very quick, very, very efficient.
As Georgie Campbell and Global Quest, they jumped the last. We've got a time in for them. This was a few moments ago. I mean, Georgie looks delighted. They went round 7 minutes, 8 seconds. So they pick up the 4.8 time penalties, 12 seconds over the optimum time. So they're just going to drop down the leaderboard slightly at this point, with that three-phase score of 36.2.
Dare I say, he looked like potentially a really good quality long format horse of the future. In a big rangy stride, probably suited by the longer format. When I say that, it's because the in the longer format classes, we have longer galloping sections in between the fences for those big horses with big strides to be able to really open out and cover the ground. At the shorter format, there's more jumping obstacles over a shorter distance, or the same jumping obstacles over a shorter distance. Danny Evans now on course.
Yeah, Danny Evans, Monbeg Just Blue, 30.8. They come forward. This horse owned by Mrs. Luna Edge, Mrs. Patricia Laws, Danny herself, and Joanna Cooper and Mrs. Catherine Britton. This 9-year-old mare by Bahania Master Blue.
This looks a very nice horse.
Over those Esme rails. And she looks, well, everyone's going to be setting out like they mean business now, I would have thought, in this 4-star short 8 and 9-year-old class.
Yeah, absolutely. Danny quickly into a big open rhythm. Again, a nice big horse this. You'd say, one for the future. Nice to see how many of these 8 and 9-year-olds look big, scopy horses that we're going to see jumping around big tracks in the future. This looks like a horse that's got plenty of scope and nowhere near reached its potential. So, exciting to see what these horses are going to go on and do.
Yeah, 2010 we saw Mark Todd win this class on NZB Land Vision, and then he went on to win Bablington in 2011 as Danny Evans, Monbeg Just Blue, run to the Bentley Water.
Oh, so smooth through there. Fantastic. She's such a stylish rider, very fast, got a very good eye to a fence. And she is very, very positive.
And she's worked hard at building up a good team of horses. I know she sort of had to sell a good few horses to help sort of keep things moving.
Absolutely, the wheels got to keep turning. Louisa Bradley up at the top end, just coming down to the big table before the rail ditch combination, and nice jump there. I've actually been sat in the hot seat for all 3 phases of this horse, and it's been a horse that I've really caught my eye. I think he'll be one that we'll see jumping around 5 stars in the future, and looks a very natural cross-country horse. I wouldn't say she's quite as quick as some of the other riders, so I would imagine probably time-wise she may well just pick up a few time faults, but she'll still be over the moon.
Eva Clark, they complete their round. Sportsfield Freelance, that was a few moments ago, 7 minutes 6 seconds, so they pick up the 4 time penalties, so that gives them a 3-phase score of 35.3.
And that shows just how quick this optimum time is, because Aoife, when Aoife's riding fast, which she looked like she was, she's a very competitive lady, and very rarely, so 4 time faults for her.
So she goes into 4th place behind Stephen Hill, Idablo Joe, Sarah Innes, Action Lady M, and Sarah Bullimore, Evita AP. They're the podium positions at the moment.
Flora Harris now.
Yeah, Flora Harris. Monbeg Alcatraz come forward, 29.9. Currently sat overnight in 7th place. What can they do here? Now, again, we've spoken about big horses. This looks another big, scopy type of horse.
Absolutely, and Flora very, very positive to the fence at the top of the water. He just had a little bit of a spook. There's quite a large drop on the back of that. It's very difficult for us to see here. This was just showing a little bit of greenness, and yeah, you saw at the fence at the top, he just looked like he got very, very green on her, and she did a very, very good job. And then into the water, very, very green the second time as well, and having a little trot. Doesn't look like he's quite in front of her, and this horse is only a young horse.
Oh, it's just
unfortunately taking another little run out there.
Because they do just switch off, the young horses at times, don't they? When they've just had this sort of blip.
He just looks like he's got a little bit lost and in awe of what's going on, doesn't he? Flora's a very, very professional rider. It'd be interesting to see what decision she makes now. But
Bill Levitt now away. Now here's a man riding for Australia, Sligo Candy Cane. Bill does not hang around. 29.9. His 2-phase score.
Absolutely, and thrilled to see Flora through that combination, through that fence out of the water at the second attempt. So she'll now look to try and put a little bit of confidence into the horse. It'll be interesting to see whether she decides to continue on or whether she decides to retire. Sometimes riders do retire at that stage because they're a little bit unsure about the combinations coming forward.
So we'll see as Bill Levitt and Sligo Candy Cane, owned by Mrs. Elizabeth Murdoch and Bill himself. They set off in earnest around this David Evans design track.
One of the most popular riders on the circuit, Bill, affectionately known as Uncle Bill.
Uncle Bill. So yeah, I think you read it right there, Matt. Just Flora, after getting Montbeg Alcatraz over that fence at the water, Flora just decides to call it a day.
Absolutely, and she'll be really frustrated about that. That was the right decision to make. You know, there's a lot of combinations up at the top end, and with these inexperienced horses, the last thing you want to do is end up coming into a problem and then not being able. She'll be thrilled that she was able to jump the fence that the horse ran out at, and she won't want to be in a situation where she can't do that, because then you're almost teaching the horse bad habits.
Bill Levitt's urging Sligo Candy Cane through the water complex.
He was fast through that water as well. He's certainly having a go, is Bill.
He is not hanging around. As Louise Bradley and Pontstown Brave, they've jumped the last to complete. This was a few moments ago, but Matt, you read it right. This definitely is a horse for the future. He's a big type, really impressive. Louise just deciding to take a steady round, 8 minutes 25 seconds. So they'll have a three-phase score of 66.8.
I think she'll still be thrilled with that. This horse came to the competition last year. I don't believe they completed last year. I think they had an unfortunate, incident.
They had a parting
cross-country.
company, unfortunately, at the water.
Oh, very, very fast through the water there. This is a lovely, lovely horse, isn't it, that Bill's on? A super horse. Really nice, open frame. Looks like he's got a lovely gallop on him. And Bill looks to be able to pick up a stride very, very quickly, very, very early on him, which is always lovely to have cross-country.
So he's on 29.9. So that's 2 marks ahead of Sarah Innes on Action Lady M. So he can be 4 seconds over the optimum time and still go ahead of her into second place in that clubhouse. But it's all changed just as I say that. We get a score in for Danny Evans. Montbeg Just Blue, 6 minutes 48. That's the fastest round of the day we've seen so far. 30.8, their three-phase score. So they will go into second place at the moment behind Vita AP and Sarah Bullimore. Setting out on the track goes Emily King on Imposnant. They come forward. That good dressage, 25.2. Unfortunately, rolled a pole, so that dropped them from third to fifth with a two-phase score of 29.2. So we'll see what they can do now around this course. We've just seen Danny Evans go into second place on 30.8. So what can Emily do here?
Emily started off in a very good rhythm. She's a naturally fast rider cross country as well. You said about steeped in family tradition. Well, this lady is certainly steeped in family tradition. Obviously, her mum, Mary, was a multiple team member, medal-winning team member over the years. And Emily, always ridden with a lot of maturity at a very young age.
That's Bill Levitt, Sligo Candy Cane for Australia.
To make it happen there, again, just ended up with that little fourth stride coming out of that combination, chipping in. That little fourth stride, Bill staying in behind, showing his experience, making sure he focuses between the flags, and he is kicking on.
So he wanted to be around the sort of... he needs to be we'll get a good stop point time for him as he leaves the water. 5 minutes, 5 seconds he needs to be. The unofficial clock is suggesting he's slightly behind the clock at the moment. He's about 5 minutes entering the water. And he needs to be 5 minutes 5 jumping the fence out of the water. So
I got the feeling that the way he was riding, he knew he was behind the clock as well. He was really pressing hard through that water to try and make up every available second. Long water crossings to really slow the horses down, exactly the same way as we do when we're running through water. So Bill pressing hard now.
He's really pushing on.
Gritting his teeth.
Cool. Bill being a real linchpin of Team Australia for so many years as he approaches this big oxer at the top of the hill, and he'll keep pushing all the way to the line. He's a real competitor. As a way out on course, we've seen Caroline Powell come forward on Greenacres Special Cavalier, owned by Mr. Chris Mann, this 9-year-old gelding by Cavalier Royal. And Caroline, a lady that has got so much experience, rode that beautiful grey horse Lenamore to win Burley in 2010. And part of the bronze medal winning team for New Zealand at those Olympics in 2012.
Yeah, exactly. Huge experience across all levels on all horses. She's ridden a lot of horses for people, all levels, and does a fantastic job. She's a hugely competitive lady. She's also a very sensible lady. She's a fantastic horsewoman. So
we'll watch this round with interest. Emily King now at the top of the course, jumps nicely over the A.W. Jenkinson table.
this has looked quick and smooth so far, and smooth is fast, and certainly looks a really nice horse to ride cross country. Emily just has to put the weight through the heel and feel the rein, and the horse looks like he really responds, which, if they come back nice and easily, it does mean that they are so much easier to prepare for the fences. And that was very, very classy through that combination and very quickly away. Lovely expression on his face as he's galloping along, isn't he?
That was really smooth. Lovely expression. This gelding by Nameless R, owned by Mrs. Minnie Dinny Kerr, Peter and Susan Kerr Dinny. So they now come to a fence. It's caused a few problems.
Yeah, really nice rhythm coming in.
She needed to be at 4:10 jumping the Duke's table just before this combination. So she's on or around the time at the moment as she kicks on. As Bill Levitt, we saw him really urging Sligo Candy Cane round. He went round in a time of 7 minutes, 5 seconds, so 3.6 time penalties to add. So he has a three-phase score of 33.5. So that is good enough to go into 4th place at this stage of the competition, just behind Action Lady M and Sarah Innes. And Danny Evans, Monbeg Just Blue, and
Bill
Sarah
Rowe
Bullimore, Avit AP.
Bill rode for every second, didn't he? He did everything he could to make sure that was the best possible result. Really well done to him.
And now things really hotting up. Sitting in 2nd, coming in to this cross-country phase, it's Hayden Hankey, Heads Up, owned by Mrs. Catherine Witt. And Hayden himself, 24.3, their starting score. What can they do? Yeah. It's only an 8-year-old, so bidding to be only the 4th 8-year-old to win this class. We haven't seen an 8-year-old win since Willa Newton, Kasia 20, back in 2016.
Hayden, hugely experienced across all disciplines. I think this the horse he actually won Hoy's Working Hunter on. I think it is, isn't it? Yeah,
you are right.
He's a hugely versatile jockey. Ridden racehorses, ridden just about every form of discipline you can possibly imagine. And I would say, looking at him the way he started, this is only an 8-year-old. He started off in a very, very positive way, but he's not going to take any chances. He knows he's so particular about his training, and he will definitely have an end game here.
This horse, by Obus quality, just doing some quick maths. By the looks of it, obviously he's 3.5 marks ahead of Sarah Bullimore, so he can afford to be 8 seconds over the optimum time and still stay ahead of her. The 8 seconds would amount to 3.2 time. So as Matt says, it doesn't look like he's sort of set out too quickly, but we will watch with interest as kicking on. Caroline Powell and Greenacres Special Cavalier jump over that leap of faith.
This round looks like it's really built in confidence, and Caroline's going much quicker now than she was at the start. She set off very positively, but it's got quicker and quicker and quicker as she's gone on, and be interesting to get a read on her time as well.
Yeah, we will. As Hayden Hankey Heads Up, as you said, Matt, he's just such a horseman. Ridden racehorses, worked for David Nicholson. He shows at top level. Yeah, just an all-round horseman. As Caroline Powell and Greenacre Special Cavalier kicking on for home. They need... Wow.
Here she comes.
Here is our overnight leader. It is Piggy March coming forward on Jane McGivern's Stallion Halo. 21.3 their starting score. They're bidding to be... they're bidding to post a record-breaking score. If they can remain on that 21.3, they will break the current record of 22.5, currently held by William Fox Pitt and Fernhill Pims, who got that score in 2013. So what can they do? They've got 7 seconds in hand over Hayden Hankey. So we'll watch with interest as she sets up for the first of the combinations.
I think he started off really, really fast and positive. She sees a really early stride, but you can see just how easily she balances the horse ready for this first decent combination at fence 5, and wastes no time setting up, and that's, you know, absolutely key. She's so disciplined in her position and always sees a really forward, accurate stride, which saves, you know, if you save a second at every fence, that makes a big difference over the course of the 30 jumping efforts.
Oh, massively, massively, massively.
Really forward down the hill to the water, inside line. Had to work a little bit harder there, a little bit greener into the water than perhaps she anticipated, but Piggy's so quick to react.
And we've got a score in for Emily King in Poznan. They went round in a time of 7 minutes 1 second, so they add the 2 time penalties. 3-phase score 31.2, and that is good enough to put them into 4th place at the moment.
Hayden just having to add the stride there, the combination coming out the wood at the top of the hill. He very, very quick to do so. You know, as we said before, it's thinking on your feet, and he didn't quite get the shot that he looked like he was after coming out. Very, very quickly just sat up and added. He's actually going. He looks like he's built
moved
this
up,
horse.
hasn't
Yeah,
he? He's moving on.
He's built this horse's confidence up. As he's got more established as he's gone on. He's let the horse really bowl on now.
I'd say he can be 8 seconds over the time and still hold on to 2nd position, ahead of our clubhouse leader Sarah Bullimore, Avita AP on 28.2. But news in: Greenacre Special Cavalier Caroline Powell, time 6 minutes 53 seconds. That's the 2nd fastest time of the day. So they remain on 28.8 and go into 2nd place at the moment. Obviously, things can change. We've got the 2 horses. Hayden Hankey heads up. Piggy March, Halo, they're still out on course. What will happen? It is getting tense.
Caroline's round was super to watch, wasn't it? She really did just give that horse a super ride to be fast. Didn't over rush to start with. Very, very accurate, found a rhythm, and then, you know, we picked it, didn't we, at the top of the hill. She looked like she'd really upped in rhythm, as Hayden has done as well. He's set off in a, you know, in a sensible rhythm, and he really coming home with a lot of gallop. Horse is really travelling, whereas we saw Bill's horse just started to lose gallop towards the end. Hayden's horse still looks to be picking up and really flying along.
Piggy March and Halo moving really smoothly around this course.
Just makes everything look so easy, doesn't she? The 3 strides there for her, just so straightforward, because she sees that accurate shot. She must have been 1.5 yards inside the line of anyone else I've seen to that.
And really did produce such a lovely show jumping around yesterday. I mean, this horse is still a stallion. You know, really does look like one for the future.
Absolutely. I said to someone earlier in the week, you know, she just picks these horses up and makes them look like their own so quickly. You know, Kevin McNabb rode this horse before. Super Rider won on the horse. I think they won the 3-star long at Osberton last year together.
Yes.
And then Piggy took up the reins after that. You know, right at the start of the season, you kind of looked across and it just looked like one of Piggy's trotting around.
No, Piggy is such a good rider. As we're just waiting on news on Hayden Hankey and Heads Up. What time will he post? Our podium positions at the moment are Avita AP, Sarah Bullimore lead the way, 28.2. Greenacre Special Cavalier, Caroline Powell, 28.8. Our Monbeg Just Blue, Danny Evans, 30.8. They're our podium as it stands at the moment. But the 2 horses out on course can change all of that. As Piggy March now kicking on up the hill. She needed to be about 5 minutes 5, leaving that water. I'm on the unofficial clock here. She looks like she could be a little bit down, but we will wait with interest.
I got the feeling that she probably looked at her watch and thought she was down, because she looked at her watch and then all of a sudden the old right leg quite quickly gave a couple of sharp kicks. So I did just wonder whether she felt that she was a little way down. She probably won't know what she's got in hand, obviously, as she's out on course. Hayden's just got a result in.
Hayden Hankey, yeah, Heads Up. He's just crossed the line. As you said, Matt, it did look like he sort of set out tentatively early on, just let this young horse get into his rhythm. So time 7:25, so 11.6 time penalties. So that will put them down the order, 35.9. So they will go into 10th place.
So that
So
now
still a top
gives-
10 position on an 8-year-old.
Oh yeah, he'll be thrilled as well, and a big rangy horse, very much a horse of the future. And he rode the horse like it was very much a stepping stone, and I'm sure he'll be back next year to perhaps have another go, or maybe even be here for the long. Or
So that means with Hayden posting a slightly steadier time, Piggy's got, how much time has she got? By the looks of it, 17 seconds in hand over Sarah Bullimore and Avita AP. So she won't know this, but obviously out on course, because she won't have known how slowly Hayden would have gone. But she does have 17 seconds in hand as she goes through the final combination. That's the Boodle offset houses in this 8 and 9-year-old 4-star short competition here at Blenheim Palace. Brought to you by the Jockey Club.
so much gallop as the horse left that second last combination. You know, she really has. This horse is so fit, finished full of running. Oh, she knows where she is. She knows she's done enough.
A big smile on her face, and what a well-judged round from Piggy there. We'll wait for her time and score with interest. As I said, we do the record at the moment, the finishing record score is 22.5. That is held by Fernhill Pims and William Fox Pitt.
Immediately she landed over the last, big pat for the horse. She knew she'd done enough. As soon as the horse's front feet touched the ground, she was very, very confident of her position.
Well, that really was a masterclass from Piggy March and Halo. It looks like they have taken the win in this 8 and 9-year-old 4-star short competition. They finish on a score of 24.1. They pick up the 2.8 time penalties, so 7 seconds over the time allowed. And interesting enough, that is the cushion she had over Hayden Hankey, 7 seconds. So had Hayden gone clear inside the time, she still would have been ahead of him. So, I mean, that just goes to show what a good rider she is. She knew she had a bit of time in hand. She had 7 seconds in hand, and she took the full 7 seconds.
Yeah, absolutely. As she was approaching home, she might have heard the tannoy that Hayden had picked up a few time faults as well. She's such an observant rider. I'm sure that there's a possibility she may have been aware of that. We do sometimes hear the tannoy as you're going round. So
just seeing there, Piggy March, and there's owner Jane McGivern. I mean, that is what event horse ownership is all about. They look absolutely delighted together. I mean, Jane McGivern being a long-time supporter of Piggy's. And many good horses with her. Quarry Quest Echo, who she won that silver medal at the European Championships in 2019 on. What a sight that is. As that concludes the competition here for this 4-star short 8 to 9-year-old class. Have we got a scoreboard? As Mac, I mean, what a class it has been, and some really good horses and some lovely horses for the future.
Absolutely. I mean, when we don't just look at the winner of this section, look all the way through the section, you're going to see top class horses of the future coming out of it, because as you said, there were horses finishing a long way down the field that are now out there competing for us at the World Equestrian Games, and Tom McEwen's Toledo de Cursa and Oliver Townend's Ballamore class. So the horses of the future go right the way through the leaderboard.
And there is our leaderboard, our top 10 for this 8 and 9-year-old class here at the Blenheim Palace International Horse Trials 2022, brought to you by the Jockey Club. And it is a win for the amazing Piggy March on Halo, 24.1. Second, Sarah Bullimore, Avita AP, 28.2. And in third, that podium position for New Zealand, Caroline Powell, Greenacres Special Cavalier, 28.8. We see there then Bill Levitt, Sligo Candy Cane, 33.5 in 7th place. And bringing up the top 10 there, Hayden Hankey, Heads Up, 35.9. And that is a horse to look out for, only 8 years old, and looks to have travelled really smoothly around the course.
Yeah, absolutely. And Hayden gave that horse a very, very sensible ride as well, didn't he? He really let the horse find a rhythm, and I thought that he'd ridden the horse for the future. Caroline Powell's ride I thought was fantastic. Danny Evans made everything look so smooth as well. Likewise Emily King as well. So Bill's horse, he's ended up just dropping a small bit down the leaderboard, just looked a little bit tired on the way home. He literally got every possible second out. I'm sure Stephen Hill will be thrilled with Diablo Joe. Like you said, picked up that horse from from Piggy March last year, and they look like they're really having a great time forming a relationship together.
Well, that concludes the action for this 4-star short 8 to 9-year-old class here at the Blenheim Palace International Horse Trials for 2022. And the win goes to Piggy March on that beautiful grey stallion, Halo, owned by Jane McGiven. 24.1 was their finishing score. We hope you've enjoyed watching. Matt, thank you very much for all of your input over the last 4 days. It has been invaluable.
No problem, my pleasure. Really enjoyed. I reckon Halo stud fee might be going up. What do you reckon?
I think it could be. So we thank you for watching. We hope you've enjoyed watching this stream, brilliantly produced by Race Tech, and we look forward to welcoming you all back next year. Halo, Piggy March, the 2022 CCI 4-star short 8 to 9-year-old winner here at the Blenheim Palace International Horse Trials, brought to you by the Jockey Club. It's a goodbye for now.